Hiruzen had only seen such darkness in the eyes of everyone in the council room in times of war. But then again, what they had just been through had been worse than war. The fox had taken so much, so many were dead, and their hero was gone. Minato Namikaze was gone. Even from the civilian side, whose eyes were usually filled with bliss from their ignorance from the real world. He saw it in most of their eyes, the look of a ninja who had lost a comrade. He held a baby in his hands. The boy's name was Naruto. Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki, the son of the hero of the leaf. Minato, I'm so sorry, you'll never get to see him grow up, was all Hiruzen could think. Let us begin, said Hiruzen, who had retaken his place as the third Hokage. With that, everyone quieted, well, as much as the room could, because almost everyone was already silent. It was a loud silence, though he could almost hear the tears of Konoha itself crying with its people. I need a full damage report including death tolls and damage to property from all the clans, regular ninja and civilians. Also, for the time being, D-rank missions will be suspended. Also, Tsunade, Jiraiya and myself will be taking full control of the academy by creating a new curriculum, which will focus on Fuinjutsu, medical ninjutsu, ninjutsu, genjutsu and more advanced taijutsu, finished the Hokage. He saw nods from around the table. Hokage-sama, who is the child you are holding? Asked Mabuki Haruno, the newly appointed head of the civilian organization, the Allied Mother's Force, and a woman who was soon to be a troublemaker just like her mother. This is the one who saved the village hidden in the leaves. This is the boy whom the fourth sealed the Kyuubi into. With this, the civilians looked terrified, while the shinobi clan heads who knew that the Kyuubi could not be killed and had no fantasies of its death nodded in understanding. This is the heir to the Uzumaki and Namikaze. He is also the boy who sealed the negotiations with Suna. He is to marry the Kazekage's eldest child. We must kill the boy now before he kills us all and destroys the V. Mabuki, along with many civilians, began, but they could not finish their sentence as the room was drowned in killer intent by the two men that were usually the most calm. Fugaku Uchiha and Hayashi Hyuga, the newest clan heads of Konoha's most powerful clans and the Minato's teammates. You threatened to kill the son of my former teammate again, and there will be one more on the civilian death toll. Fugaku said. I concur, stated Hayashi. Now the boy will not be killed, and no one who does not have my special permission will make sure this news does not leave the council. Whoever speaks of it without my permission will die and their family exiled. I asked the civilian council to leave, which includes Danzo, Hamaru, and Koharu. The civilians departed the room, many sneering, including the elders. Minato left a letter for all of you. Here it goes. Dear friends, I have sealed half of the Kyuubi into Naruto. The seal I have used will slowly filter its chakra into Naruto. Now I would like for someone to take him in, but please let him, when he becomes a shinobi, let him rebuild his clan, and let him keep the Uzumaki name, at least adding yours. Also, Kushina wants whoever adopts him to let him play with Makoto and Hitomi's kids. She said they always talked about it as Team Tsunade. I have instructed Jiraiya to give him my jutsu scrolls when he is 8. But those are for him, not the clan that adopts him. Lastly, as per our agreement with Suna, he will spend 3 months there and Temari will spend 3 months here until she is 9. When he becomes a genin of Konoha, make him aware of the marriage. He will have to have CRA, and the Kazekage understands this. 360000 Ryo will be given to Naruto adoptive parents every year. Thank you, Minato. So, is anyone interested? The third asked. I can't. Hitomi is still pregnant and is having difficulties. It would be too hard for her, Hayashi said. He looked solemn and saddened at this, like he was unable to help the man who had become his friend. I will do it, Makoto, and I already have Sasuke, so it will be difficult raising them both, but since Hayashi understandably can't, I will. Spoke Fugaku, who was internally moved knowing that his friend and teammate wrote that letter knowing that he was going to die, sacrificing his life for the village. I know Minato would have been happy with you as a guardian. All of you though know this. Naruto may know of Kushina but not of Minato, at least not until he is made a jounin because of Minato's enemies. IWA would have an army here yesterday if they knew. He may now of the Kyuubi only when it is necessary, and I will leave that decision for Fugaku. So if you would sign here as his guardian Fugaku, and you here as his alternate guardian Hayashi, He will be known as Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha. And you may both be able to tell your clans, but warn them of the consequences of telling others. They both signed, and the meeting was dismissed as Fugaku left to tell the news to his clan. At the Uchiha compound, 8 p.m. Now that everyone is here, I will begin. Today I have adopted a child, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze Uchiha. He is to be the new head of the Uzumaki Namikaze clan at 16, but until then he is the son of the head of the Uchiha clan. He was the son of the fourth and is the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. I expect you all to treat him as you would Sasuke or Itachi or face the consequences, and know this: I will not simply allow an Uchiha to be banished. Now you may not speak a word of this to anyone outside of the Hyuga clan or our own, and never mention the name Namikaze or Kyuubi in his presence. Is this understood? The crowd said hi and returned to their home to sleep. They knew their leader would never put them in harm's way. Fugaku had already sent a clan member to add another crib for the nursery. He and Itachi walked home. He had already explained to him and Mikoto, who was at home with Sasuke. They were silent in their short walk, and when they arrived at the house, Fugaku gave the baby to Mikoto and went to shower. "Oka-san, can I hold him?" said a 6-year-old Itachi, who had just enrolled at the ninja academy. "Of course, Itachi-chan, he is your Ototo after all," said Mikoto as he handed Naruto to him. "Just be careful," she said as he went to his room, leaving Itachi sitting in the nursery with just Saki in the other crib. Naruto began to cry, but Itachi hushed him and said, just as he said to Sasuke on the day of Naruto's birthday, "Hush, Naruto-chan. I will protect you and Sasuke no matter what." And with that, he put Naruto into his crib and went to bed. The next day, Itachi was returning from school and heard crying. He found a shinobi of Konoha with a full black mask and his mom on the floor. He then saw Naruto in the man's arm. He attacked, furious at the man, but still he was being careful not to hurt his brother, and then the Jounin punched him, sending him to the floor. Itachi blinked and he saw everything more clearly. So this is what the Sharingan does. I don't have time to worry about getting the Sharingan now. I must keep my promise. I must save Naruto. You have no idea what you have done. Nobody will harm my brother, said Itachi. Demonic illusion. Crow's attack, he said, speaking calmly. He had already known the C-rank Genjutsu and knew the Sharingan would make it stronger. He caught Naruto and knocked out the man who was hopefully still dreaming of crows attacking him and pecking him apart. He then put a Genjutsu on Naruto, Heavenly Illusions, Butterfly Dreams. After putting Naruto in his crib, Itachi tied up the man and got one of the chakra seals his father had gotten him and put it on the man's back. He picked up his mom and put her on the couch. He hadn't wanted to worry the other members of the clan, so he decided to wait for his Tusan. About 20 minutes later, the man woke up, but he couldn't move because of the way Itachi tied and taped the man up. Fugaku came home and Itachi told him what happened. Fugaku called in 2 guards and told them to guard Itachi, Sasuke, Naruto, and the still sleeping Mikoto. He also asked Hayashi if he could send over a guard because the Byakugan was great for long-range surveillance, so if anything happened, the Hyuga guard could get back up without being noticed. He then took the man who tried to kidnap his son to the 3rd. Fugaku, I am sorry for what happened, and I will assign an Umbu guard to trail Itachi and another to watch Sasuke and Naruto. I believe Kakashi and another Umbu will watch the boys, but will also do missions, so they'll be on rotation, and Yamato should do to trail Itachi, since I don't want him to leave the village just yet. But if this man has a certain seal on his tongue, I believe I may actually be able to end the man responsible for this, said the 3rd, and Fugaku nodded, untaping the man's mouth and telling him to stick out his tongue, which he did. The 3rd saw the seal. Hexagram curse. Concealment revealed. The 3rd said, removing the mark. Who gave you this mission? Danzo, was all the man said. Hiruzen restrained himself from using his famed bloodless killing technique, as he would use this man as evidence, and then told Fugaku there would be a complete council meeting tomorrow. With that, Fugaku went home, checking on Itachi, and told him he was very proud of him for protecting his brother and activating his Sharingan. Tusen, I promised Naruto and Sasuke I would protect them. All I did was keep my promise, said Itachi. His father smiled, never being more proud of anything his son said, and told him to rest. Next morning. Hokage-sama, if I may ask why you have called this council meeting? Asked Shikaku. He thought that these council meetings were troublesome, especially ones at 6 in the morning. Well, Nara-san, a leaf shinobi attempted to attack Naruto, replied the third, but the boy's elder brother was able to stop him. Was the man caught? Asked Danzo in a slightly disappointed manner. He was rather upset that a 7-year-old stopped a member of his route even with a Sharingan. Unfortunately, no, Danzo-san, replied Fugaku with that. Danzo gave the slightest smirk. At least the man wasn't foolish enough to be caught. But then again, the seal would stop him from talking if he was. No one could break my seal. The meeting was called to order when Koharu arrived. For the first order of business, said Hiruzen before he paused. Several Umbu walked into the room. The one leading the group of four spoke. Danzo Shimura, you are under arrest for ordering the kidnapping of Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha. This council is your judge and jury. If you attempt to escape, we have been given authority to use lethal force. Danzo was more than shocked. How could this be? There is no way they removed the seal. You can't do that. He is an elder of the village, shrieked the local harpy known as Mabuki Haruno, especially not for some demon brat. This is a ninja village civilian, and you hold no power, only the Hokage does, so never tell him what he can and can't do. Know this: if you ever calls Naruto a demon again, I am not against assassination missions, said Hayashi. He couldn't stand the Haruno scum. Bring him in, Hiruzen said. Then another Umbu brought the kidnapper in. Also, Hayashi, if you would please use your Byakugan to see if he is telling the truth. Of course, Hokage-sama, said Hayashi. Were you involved in an attempt to kidnap Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha? Asked Hiruzen. Yes, responded the man. Did you act on orders from a superior? Asked Hiruzen again. Yes, said the man again. He had the emotion trained out of him, but you could still hear a tinge of disgust. Who was your superior? He asked for the last time. Danzo Shimura, answered the man. All the statements made were truthful, said Hayashi. As the Sandaime Hokage of Konohagakure, I hereby sentence these two men to death to be carried out immediately, the Hokage said. Then the two Umbu quickly snapped their necks and severed their cervical spines. The men died, and that was the last time anyone said the name Danzo in the council room. The meeting is dismissed, uttered the third. 5 years later. Goodbye, Temari-chan, Kankuro-kun and Gara-kun, chorused the three heirs as their friends left. Temari had started coming to Konoha as per the treaty, but this was one of the times her brothers came along. Hinata had become good friends with Sasuke and Naruto. Fugaku walked them as they dropped Hinata off. They said their goodbyes. Hinata wasn't shy since she made friends with Naruto and Sasuke. She was also more confident. She wasn't so nervous scared when the man kidnapped her, so she had screamed at the Kumanin had attacked and Hizashi came to her rescue, and instead of killing the man he simply knocked him out. This helped the relationship between Hayashi and Hizashi, allowing Niji and Hinata to become. Niji had comforted Hinata when her mom died. At the Uchiha compound. Boys, go inside and put on your gear. Today we start ninjutsu and weapons training in addition to taijutsu, strength, endurance, and speed. Yes, that's so cool too, San. Sasuke, now we can be as strong as Anasan. Naruto yelled excitedly. Yeah, Naruto, let's go, said Sasuke. Naruto came outside first. He wore the clothes his uncle, Erosenin, had given him. He wore black ninja shorts and he also wore a black long-sleeve shirt. On top of that he wore a ripped short-sleeved hooded coat with a thick black trim on it. On the left was the Uchiha clan symbol, and the right was Uzumaki clan symbol, and in the middle was the symbol of Konoha. Sasuke followed wearing gray pants and a gray shirt with the Uchiha symbol on the front, and the back was Konoha's symbol. Both of you are already prodigies based on your chakra reserves, taijutsu, endurance, speed, and strength. Now we'll see how you do with ninjutsu. Here, use these pieces of paper and channel your chakra into them, said a curious Fugaku. Yes, Odo-san, said Naruto and Sasuke in unison as they both did as they were told. The result of this test surprised Fugaku more than when Mikoto told him she was. Naruto and Sasuke both had the same thing occurred to the adoptive brothers. Their pieces of paper sliced into four, the first piece caught on fire, the second turned to mud, and the third became wet and the fourth crumpled. Impossible was all Fugaku could say. To have 5 natural affinities wasn't prodigious, it was the stuff of legends. Naruto, have you and Sasuke ever made a blood pact? Yes, about trying to be as strong as Itachi-san, Naruto responded in a confused way. Both of you, we need to talk, said Fugaku as they went inside. Naruto, the day you were born, a demon fox called the Kyuubi attacked the village. To protect the village, your father sealed it inside of you. I want you both to know, son, you're not evil, and anyone who says that will answer to me. You can't tell anyone outside the clan we talked about this, okay? Both boys nodded. Now we're going to try and talk to the Kyuubi, so Sasuke hold Naruto's hand. The boys did as they were told, and then Fugaku said, viewing seal, mirrored a glass. The 3 of them appeared outside a dojo, and then they walked forward into it only to see a girl in a kimono training in kenjutsu. The girl turned and looked at them. It took you guys long enough to find me. I mean, now we can talk about how I changed the dojutsu of Sasuke and Hinata and gave one to Naruto. You're a woman, said Fugaku. Kyuubi went on to tell them her name was Kurama and how she was tricked into attacking Konoha by a man with the Sharingan, and also how she could see whatever Naruto could see. I remember you saying something about changing their eyes. What was that about? Fugaku asked. That is simple. I enhanced those 2 dojutsus for Hinata's Byakugan. This is what I did. I call it Byakugan no Kitsune. It enhances the user by allowing them to control chakra flow by using the style on these scroll. Also, it allows complete 360 vision, and it is always on once you activate it for the first time. It is always on, though the depth and X-ray vision can be adjusted. It also costs you no chakra. As for Sasuke's Sharingan, it is known as the Universal Mangekyō Sharingan. It is the perfect Sharingan with the powers of EMS, with the ability to create things out of thin air and less chakra cost, and it will activate in a couple years when the DNA is finished modifying. As for Naruto, he has the Baijigen. He will be able to seal things without the paper, also use of Yin and Yang chakra, and lastly he can awaken bloodlines as well as copy them, but he can only use one at a time. This means the 3 of them will be the most powerful shinobi of all time. Fugaku stammered, shocked at what he heard. At that, they left unexpectedly, and Fugaku alerted the Hokage and Hayashi. 3 years later. Naruto, Hinata, and Sasuke trained hard with Fugaku, Hiruzen, Hayashi, and Jiraiya. Their new abilities remained a secret from everyone else, though. Sasuke and Naruto woke up and rushed out of their room. Today was their first day at the academy. They went downstairs to the breakfast table to have the waffles their mother had prepared. Itachi-san, the boys yelled when they saw their brothers. As a Chunin, he was hardly been there. What do you 2 think? I would miss my brothers before their first day at the academy, Itachi said, ruffling both of the boys' hair. Thanks, Itachi and I, we have to go now, Naruto said. I'll walk you 2 there, Itachi said. Yes, Sasuke and Naruto spoke in unison. The boys made their ways to the academy, walking together ahead of their brother. Most of the civilians knew by now not to bother Naruto when he walked with his mother, father, or older brother. Today, though, some of them decided to glare at him anyway. These glares were met by Itachi, who had his 3 Tomo Sharingan activated. The civilians rushed away in fear. The boys walked into the academy after Itachi waved them goodbye. Irika introduced himself and began his lecture. Today we're learning about Konoha's clans. It just so happens that we have someone from almost all major clan, so I'll allow them to introduce their clans to the class. Irika said, well, go in this alphabetical order. I am Aburame Shino, said a boy of normal height. He wore shorts and a coat with a hood he kept down at all times. I am of the Aburame clan. We are known for our use of chakra-devouring Kikaichu bugs in battle. We breed our bugs and they live in our bodies. Shino finished. The civilians of the class had a disgusted look on their face. Those of clans knew of the Aburame prowess and were undisturbed. I am Akimichi Choji, said the boy with spiky, brown hair, and swirl marks on his cheeks. He had a more robust physique like his other members of his clan. We use techniques that enlarge parts of our bodies to attack. My clan is also famous for my father's inclusion in the formation of Ino Shikacho. Choji then looked away sadly as a couple of the civilian girls commented on his size. I am Hyuga Hinata, a member of the Hyuga clan. We are one of the strongest clans of Konoha, known for the Byakugan. We along with the Uchiha hold the only bloodline as well as dojutsu in Konoha, Hinata said in her tight white and purple jacket. She wasn't self-conscious of her development, and so she wore a simple jacket with her clan logo on the back. I am Kiba of the Inuzuka. We are known for our tracking abilities, as well as our dog companions, said the boy who smelled like dogs. He had marks of teeth and a puppy on his head. Some of the civilians talked about how cute the dogs. We use shadows and my dad was in Ino Shikacho, said the Nara boy. He didn't say it in a mysterious way that what take too much energy, he said it in a much more lazy way. That's all, he was lazy. We are of the Uchiha. We are a clan of both shinobi and civilians. We have the dojutsu known as Sharingan, said Sasuke in the ninja garbs he had worn since he was 5. Our clan also helped the Senju found Konoha. Naruto finished for Sasuke, also wearing the same ninja garb. You're not a real Uchiha, you fiend, yelled the harpy in training known as Sakura. Shut up, and that's my last name, you clan less civilian. Naruto didn't usually get mad, and he definitely did not like he loved Tucci and I am from the ramen stand he frequented. But he hated when people said he wasn't a real Uchiha. Ha, and why should I? My mom said, I don't have to respect you. My mom said, I don't have to, screamed Haruno. Then listen to me and silence yourself while we continue our lesson, Sakura, said Irika. Sakura knew better than to argue with her sensei, so she just shut up. Ino finished the lesson, and since it was the first day, Irika dismissed them after lunch. The two boys walked Hinata home and turned toward the compound. The boys just stood at the gate staring out. They were in shock. Everyone was dead. They saw Itachi on the floor and ran toward him. Anasan, what happened? Asked Naruto, sniveling. He and Sasuke had lost all their family. Madara is alive. He came back to kill us. Don't avenge us, my brothers. Break the curse of hatred, love, don't hate. Sasuke? Naruto, said Itachi before he died. That was the moment Naruto unlocked his Baijigen. It was the first time he had really lost someone. He and Sasuke knelt over their older brother crying, and when Naruto put him equals S arm over his brother, he had accidentally activated his brother's Sharingan. The boys cried until they passed out from grief. The next day, the boy found themselves in the Hyuga compound. They came out of the room they were in and went to the dining room. They had spent a lot of time in Hayashi's house with Hinata. They found Hinata, Hayashi, and Hanabi in the dining room. Hayashi-Ajasan, why are we here? Asked Naruto, sad about what happened yesterday, but also remembering what his brother had said about not hating. Sasuke had felt the same sadness, but also remembered what their brother had said. Naruto, Sasuke, after what happened yesterday, they didn't want you two to stay by yourselves. I decided to take you in until you are genin, and then you can move back into the Uchiha compound. The boys nodded in understanding and went to school with Hinata, while Hayashi went to the council meeting. In the council room, everyone had arrived and they were quiet. Let us begin. Sasuke will now also have the CRA enacted upon him. We have selected to put Sasuke and Naruto in the care of Hayashi. Yes, of course, Hokage-sama. I'd also like to write up a marriage contract between Naruto and Hinata, Hayashi stated. Of course, Hayashi. He'll be notified when he makes genin, the Hokage said. Naruto and Sasuke didn't talk to anybody at the academy that day. Eventually they lightened up in the academy, and later on they began talking to people in the coming weeks. They had a normal academy and home life. In the next years, the Dojutsu trio were at the top of the academy. Graduation day. Naruto woke up a little before his brother. He decided to try what Hinata had shown him yesterday and make boiled eggs. Hinata was trying to show the boys how to cook since they would be living on their own. You could say he succeeded in his attempt to make them, that is, if you don't mid pieces of eggshell stuck onto your egg. His brother woke up and choked down the breakfast his brother had made. Naruto and Sasuke both prepared for their last official day of school and then waited for Hinata just outside of the gates. Hinata came out and greeted the boys as they made their way to school. As they walked, they ignored the stares and glares of the ignorant villagers. When they reached the classroom, they entered and took their seats. Okay, class. Today you will be taking the final part of your exam. Ninjutsu. The class rankings are as such. So far, 1. Sasuke Uchiha. 1. Naruto Uchiha. 1. Hinata Hyuga. 2. Shino Aburame. 3. Sakura Haruno. 4. Kiba Inuzuka. 5. Choji Akimichi. 6. Nara Shikamaru. 7. Ino Yamanaka. We will go in that order for the exam. The exams were finished by 3 o'clock that day, and the class rankings remained the same. Ino is not dead last, some random civilian is. Wow, we all made first place, said Naruto with his usual happy nature. Yeah, but I mean we were trained by a Sannin, so it really wasn't fair not to mention our eyes, replied Sasuke. Well, we all agreed not to use our eyes, said Hinata. Anyway, you guys want to go get something to eat? Okay, the two boys responded in unison. The group went on to eat at Korean barbecue, much to the displeasure of a certain blonde-haired boy. Not that the other two hadn't grown to like ramen, it was just that you had to eat other foods once in a while. The group sat down for their midday meal talking about their classmates, when suddenly an Umbu appeared stating that the Hokage requested the boys' presence in his office. The boys nodded and the Umbu left. The boys paid for the bill. Telling Hinata goodbye, the boys went on into the village towards the Hokage tower. Hi, we have a meeting with the Hokage, Naruto told the receptionist. Go on in, the receptionist responded uncaringly. Thanks, both boys responded simultaneously as they went into the room. Hi Hokage-Ajisen, Naruto said as the boys came into the Hokage's view. Oh Naruto-kun, Sasuke-kun, I'm glad to see the both of you. Now that you are genin, there are certain things that you must learn of, the Hokage told the two boys. But don't we still have to take the second test? Sasuke asked. You do, but I have confidence in the both of you. So I will tell you today, the Hokage replied smiling. Now have either of you heard of the CRA? Asked the elderly but still incredibly powerful man. No, replied them both. The CRA is something that the council imposed. It stands for Clan Restoration Act. Its main purpose is to ensure the continuity of bloodlines like the Sharingan or the Baijigen, said the Hokage before he was interrupted. What does this have to do with us? Asked a certain blonde impatient ninja. If you would let me continue. The boy nodded, hearing the slight agitation in the old man's voice. The CRA is enacted when someone is the last wielder of a bloodline. The CRA has 3 parts to it. The first is forced polygamy or having multiple wives. In the CRA, the person has 4 wives. The second part is the lowering of the marrying age to 14 or whenever the person makes chunin. The last part is accommodation, which basically means the village provides you with a compound. Now there are rules to the CRA as well, such as having to be married to 4 people by 16 or having people selected for you. The next rule is that each wife must have 1 child or be pregnant by her 18th birthday. This and the clan must start or have a taijutsu style associated with it. Now the reason I am telling the both of you this is because you both have had the CRA enacted on you. WHHATT? Yelled a shocked Naruto. He couldn't believe not only would he have 4 wives by 16, he would have 4 kids by 18, and what if Hinata didn't want to share him? Even though he never said anything, he liked her. Even Sasuke knew it. Naruto, you already have 2 engagements, said the Hokage. Who? Asked Naruto, again in a state of shock. I mean, getting married was one thing, but having 2 out of 4 wives already selected for you was a whole other thing. Temari Sabuko and Hinata Hyuga. The Hokage responded. He understood the boy's hysteria. This was a lot to take in. I am marrying Hinata-chan. I wonder if she knows, Naruto thought. No, she probably doesn't, and Temari-chan, to that explains why I always went to Suna and she always came here. But I haven't seen her in about 5 years. I wonder how she has changed. Hokage Ajisen, I was wondering, where will Naruto be living for his clan compound? Asked the raven-haired boy. He was worried about his brother moving. He was all he had left. Well, Sasuke, I have decided to split the Uchiha compound between the new Uchiha clan and the Uzumaki clan, said Hiruzen, smiling. He didn't want to split the boys too far apart. Awesome, our clans will be next to each other, Naruto exclaimed. It was comforting to know he and his brother would go through this together. Well, looks like he will always be right next door, thought Sasuke in relief. He wasn't losing his brother. Oh, I forgot. Congratulations to both of you for passing your test. And also I made a few changes to the compound, so I hope you'll be happy now. Go get some dinner, and go home. I had your stuff moved this morning and decorated both of the main houses already. The Hokage continued, that will be all. The boys left and had dinner with the Hyuga one more time. They agreed not to discuss anything with Hinata just yet. After dinner, the boys walked to the place where their lives had changed. Neither of them ever visited the place. It would be too sad. Naruto swiped his blood over the gate, activating the blood seals Hiruzen had placed. The boys were shocked. There was one road in the middle. The long lines of interconnected homes in the back were 2 meeting houses, one for each clan. At the front were 2 houses in front of each row of homes. They were the clan heads' houses. The left was the Uzumaki and the right was the Uchiha. It was so different, and both of the boys were glad of that. It did not remind them of that event. The boys moved to their separate homes, getting ready for the team assignments the next mornings. In the council room. As you all know, we'll be assigning teams today. Know who wants to give their suggestions first? The aging Kage asked. A medium-sized man with wild but slightly spiky hair moved forward. The man wore his headband down over left eye and a mask over the bottom of his face. The Cyclops ninja was none other Kakashi Hatake, or Kakashi of the Sharingan. He was now the only person to still have the normal Sharingan. Hokage-sama, I have an idea for a team, one that I believe will one day surpass even the Sannin. I propose a team of myself, Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha, Sasuke Uchiha, and Hyuga Hinata. Hokage-sama, with all due respect, that would create a power vacuum among the teams, said the tall, beautiful woman with the piercing red eyes who was a first-time Jounin sensei. I agree, Kurenai. What do you have to say to that, Kakashi? They already have perfect teamwork, not to mention that Hinata's new Jukin would be wasted on the tracking team Kurenai wants to form. Also, we would have a close range, a close to mid-range, and a mid to long range. It is the perfect team. At the Uchiha and Uzumaki compound. Are you ready? Naruto questioned his brother before they made the last of their daily to the academy. You know I am. I can't wait to see what team I am on and what sensei I have. Let's go, replied Sasuke, eagerly awaiting his future as a ninja. The boys walked to the academy. They were beyond exited. They took their seats and saved the chair at the end of the row for Hinata. She walked into the room and took her seat next to Naruto. Then, in the midst of all the yelling going on around them, the most unexpected thing that could have happened. Hinata-chan, I was wondering, well, I like you, so I was wondering if you wanted to go on a date with me? Asked the nervous Naruto. He was worried because even if they were going to get married, what if she didn't really like him? The girl paused, not because she had to think of the answer she would give him, but because she was in shock. She liked Naruto, but she never believed the boy would reciprocate. Yes, Naruto, I would love to, responded to Naruto, and also Sasuke, who knew he would have to listen to his brother's sorrow if she said no. It would also have added a certain awkwardness to their friendship. Well, I'll pick you up around 7:30 tonight at the compounded, said Naruto, smiling at the blushing girl. Just as Hinata was going to respond, Irika walked into the room. Hello, class, or should I say future shinobi of Konohagakure. Today you will be assigned to teams. That Hokage-sama assigned himself based on your strengths and weaknesses. Team 1, Team 7 Jounin Sensei will be Kakashi Hatake, and the Genin will be Sasuke Uchiha Naruto Uzumaki and at that moment all the girls began praying to be selected to this team, Naruto and Sasuke fangirls alike. Hinata desperately wanted to be on a team with her 2 friends, and she didn't want someone to steal Naruto from her. A certain girl of Konoha's Harpy clan thought that she would put up with the fake Uchiha who her mother said was a demon if it meant she could be with her Sasuke-kun.
So Hinata Hyuga.
Irika chided to himself if there was one student he couldn't stand, it was Haruno Sakura. He prayed for Kiba and Shino. Liar, I must be on the team with Sasuke-kun, said the pink-haired girl. Sorry, but these are the teams chosen by Hokage-sama, the Chunin said. Team 8 Kiba Inuzuka, Aburame Shino and Haruno Sakura, and your sensei will be Kurenai Yuhi. Just my luck, bug boy and dog breath, thought Sakura. Irika went on. Team 10 Ino Yamanaka, Nara Shikamaru and Akimichi Choji, and your sensei will be Sarutobi Asuma. Those are all the teams, so I'll be leaving. Your sensei should arrive soon. Irika finished and left the room. Jounin Sensei entered the room, leaving with their students one by one until just Team 7 was left. They sat as the hands on the clock turned at what seemed like half speed. Then Naruto decided that now would be a good time to test his Byakugan fighting style against the Jukin. Naruto wanted to learn the Jukin, but the Hyuga elders would never allow it, so instead he began working with some of his mother's taijutsu scrolls of the Uzumaki fighting style. He tried turning the art known as Yuzu no Mai or Dance of the Vortex. He managed to change it slightly to fit his Byakugan no Kitsune better. He had also learned how to improve his clan's native Kenjutsu style, Kazetsufu no Ha, by hitting the points of the body with the lowest amount of chakra, so even a small cut would be more painful. The other two told him that they should just wait for his sensei, and Naruto agreed, so he used his Baijigen to place a little electric pulse seal that would shock the next person who touched. Soon the Cycloptic man touched the knob being zapped. He just brushed it off and walked on into the room. Naruto was angry. The man didn't even look surprised. Then the Jounin walked. You see, there were two old ladies who needed help crossing the road, so Kakashi used one of his top 10 favorite trademarked excuses. Now meet me upstairs. Before the genin knew it, their sensei had shunshined out of the room. The three heirs walked up the stairs to the roof of the academy, and then sat on the bench in front of their sensei, who was leaning on the railing. Well, now that you are here, how about we get to know each other better by telling each other our names, likes, dislikes, and your dreams? Started Kakashi, wondering about the trio that would be his students. Well, that was if they passed the test. Why don't you go first, sensei? Sasuke told Kakashi, trying to get to know more about the man. Fine. My name is Kakashi Hitaki. My likes, well, they really of your concern. My dislikes, again, not really your concern either. As for my dreams, well, I don't want to share them with you. Finished Kakashi. The ninja in front of him just stared as their sweat dropped. Well, that what informative. Anyway, my name is Uchiha Uzumaki Naruto, and my likes are ramen, training, my friends, and my brother. My dislikes are those that harm others and the innocent as well as bullies. My dreams are to become Hokage so I can protect everyone. My other dream is to rebuild my clan and learn who my birth father was. Spoke an exuberant Naruto. Wow, he didn't show any anger towards the man who killed his family. I wonder how his brother feels though. Kakashi thought. My name is Uchiha Sasuke, and my likes are training, my brother, and my friends. My dislikes are who take things from others and hurt them, as well as those who say my brother isn't a real Uchiha and glare at him. My dream is to rebuild my clan and take my brother's former position as Umbu captain, and then father's former position as chief of the military police. Sasuke finished. He only wants to honor his family, not avenge them. Kakashi thought again. I am Hyuga Hinata. I like spending time with my two best friends, as well as my other friends, as well as my sister and cousin. I dislike the separation within my family and people who see kindness as weakness. My dream is for the caged bird seal to be eradicated. Hinata said. Well, we will see if you guys make genin tomorrow. Meet me tomorrow at the training ground at 7. Oh, and don't eat breakfast or you will throw up. Said the Jounin nonchalantly. Well, let's see if these so-called prodigies follow orders blindly or not, though the Jounin who caught himself smirking before he shunshined away. That was interesting, Naruto said. You can say that again, concurred Sasuke as they walked on. The trio, now known as Team 7, ate lunch after running into Team 10. The boys then dropped Hinata off, reminding her to eat breakfast. Naruto told Hinata he would pick her up at 7:30. The boys then left to train at their compound. Naruto was genuinely concerned about his first date. He took a shower having just trained. He then selected some of his more fancy civilian attire. He thought about where he was going to take her, realizing that he hadn't even considered it. He decided on a new sushi place. Naruto stood and gulped just outside of where he could be seen from the Hyuga compound, which was pretty far considering the range of the Byakugan. He then continued, finally making it to the gate. When he approached the gate, he found a single guard. Naruto-sama, the branch member said. They began calling him that after he moved in with the main family. Lord Hayashi wanted to speak to you before your date with Hinata-sama. Naruto nodded, not trusting his voice. If there was one person that scared him, it was Hayashi. In his time with the Hyuga, he had seen the man go from kind to terrifying, and now he wanted to meet with him. The boy slowly walked to the man's office. Anyone could read the fear coming off of him. He was like an open book. He walked into the office, and in front of him sat Hayashi Hyuga. Naruto-kun, I see you got my message. There are some things we need to discuss about dating my daughter. First, although you will marry her, she will remain a virgin until marriage, and the second is that even though I have treated you like a son for the last 4 years, if you ever hurt her, let me just say Baijigen or not, your line will not continue. Do I make myself clear? Of course, Hayashi-ajisan, said Naruto. But know this, if I hurt Hinata, you won't be able to hurt me because I would already be dead. Hayashi smiled at the nobleness of the boy's words. Does she know of the engagement? Naruto asked, and as he did, a thought that scared him to death came upon him. 2 of my in-laws are a clan head and a Kage. Just great. No, she doesn't, and I ask you to let me tell you, stated Hayashi. Of course, Ajisan, Naruto replied, and with that he turned out of the office. He walked out and saw, at the gate was Hinata facing his way. The Hyuga girl was wearing a light gray kimono that highlighted the light lavender shade in her eyes. He walked toward her with butterflies in his stomach. Little did he know that Hinata also had butterflies. Hello, Hinata-chan, are you ready? The boy asked, worried about his voice the whole time. The girl nodded in response, not quite as confident in her voice. Well, let's go. I thought we could have dinner at this new sushi place and then go for a walk. The girl smiled and nodded again. The 2 preteens walked hand in hand through the city, both of them smiling. They came to their table in the restaurant. They ate and just talked. Naruto paid when they finished. They then walked up to the Hokage mountain. Naruto showed her how beautiful Konoha was when you saw it from far up. The new couple sat there. Hinata leaned into Naruto's shoulder. Realizing it was close to 10:30, Naruto walked her home and gave her a small chaste kiss goodnight. They both blushed. Naruto walked home wondering what Hinata thought of their date. He then went to sleep. He did, after all, have a very important day tomorrow. The next day, all members of the Genin team ate breakfast and the Genin made it to the training ground. Their Jounin sensei, however, stood in front of a stone for 2 hours lost in thought. When Kakashi arrived, he found his team talking, apparently not caring he was hours late. All right, Kakashi said, trying to get their attention. Today you will each try to get these 3 bells from me. Whoever doesn't gets tied to a post while we all eat lunch. There is no point trying to break their teamwork, so let's just see what they got. And looks like they all ate breakfast, considering none of them looked fazed when I talked about lunch. The Jounin thought. Begin, he finally said. With that, a series of unfortunate events began for Kakashi. Mass Shadow Clone Jutsu, yelled Naruto. About 100 clones surrounded Kakashi. He didn't know that both Hinata and Sasuke were both hidden among the clones, and that cost him. After about 50 of the clones got extremely close to Kakashi, Sasuke shouted. Doton Earth Dome. With that, a small dome concealed the clones, and what happened next shocked. You will see the pun later, Kakashi. Several clones threw out storage scrolls that held water that ended up filling the dome. Then in front of Kakashi were 3 Naruto who formed a seal and then mouthed Raitun. Paralyzing shock, Kakashi quickly switched with a piece of wood. But he didn't realize a Naruto clone had already taken the bells. Kakashi realized this as he exited. Well, you got me, congratulations, you all pass, but next time I want to see more out of Hinata, Kakashi said. Then he realized that she was right next to him, ready to fight him had he said anything different. Air. Never mind, here's your lunch. The group ate and went to Hinata's house. Kakashi went to the meeting with the Hokage. Team 1 fail, said a Jounin, obviously not happy. This trend continued until it was Kakashi. Team 7 passed the improvised bell test by taking the bell test. Kakashi sounded ashamed at the fact he had been beaten. Team 8 passed, said Kurenai. Team 10 passed, said Asuma, who actually didn't give his team a test. The next 4 months went by quickly for Team 7. They completed 15D ranks and 5C ranks. That was until the day they got the wave mission. Hinata and Naruto grew closer. They kissed in the open and went to dinner often. Sasuke and Ino started a relationship. That was once Ino got out of her fangirlness. Sasuke walked towards the compound. It was Ino's family house. The girl that had been his top fangirl. Apparently she had become a more focused kunoichi in the past 4 months. He thought about her asking her out at the academy, but then again he didn't want some yes girl, he wanted someone strong and independent. He had decided that if she was being a more serious kunoichi, he would give her a chance. He had already decided that he would tell any girl he went out with about the CRA on their first date. They deserved the information. He finally came to the door and knocked. Ino opened the door. "Sasuke-kun," yelled an overly excited Ino. "Wait, he only started to like me because I stopped being a fangirl," thought Ino. "Where are we going for our date, Sasuke-kun?" The girl questioned, trying to sound more mature. "Well, I guess she hasn't completely grown out of being a fangirl, but the more we hang out it should go away," thought the young boy. The two teens wore their best clothes. Ino wore a purple silk kimono with a white lotus pattern. Sasuke wore a black kimono with black trim and 3 red tomo on the back. "I figured we could go to this sushi place my brother told me about. That is, if you like sushi." Sasuke responded to the girl. Naruto said Hinata liked the place, so it sounded good to him. "That sounds great," the girl responded. They began to walk toward the restaurant, taking in the all too familiar sights of Konoha. They were about halfway to the restaurant when Sasuke decided to break the silence that stood between them. "So, Ino-chan, what is it like to be on Team 10 with Asuma-sensei?" asked Sasuke. It was strange, he found himself nervous. This was unknown territory for him. Being on a date. Ino, listening to his question, did not fail to notice the addition of Chan to her name once again. "Well, Shikamaru is lazy as ever, but he does sometimes get serious on mission. Choji still eats all the time, and Asuma-sensei isn't that bad, but he usually just plays shogi with Shikamaru." "What about your team, how are they?" asked the girl, stopping herself from rambling. "Naruto and Hinata, well, one of them is my brother and the other has been since forever, so it's great spending time with them. Kakashi-sensei is always late, but he always takes missions seriously, especially the C-rank ones." "Has your team done any C-rank missions?" asked the boy, trying to learn more about the girl who one day might become his wife. "No, not yet, but sensei says we should be going on one next week." Ino replied, a little ashamed. She knew Sasuke's team had already completed 5 C-ranks. "I'm sure you'll do great." Sasuke wasn't usually the comforting type, but he could hear the doubt in the girl. Just as Ino was going to respond, Konoha's resident mythological creature showed up. "Sasuke-kun, what are you doing with Ino Pig?" screeched the thing that most people called Sakura. "If you must know, Sakura-san, Ino-chan and I are on a date, and I would like it very much if you would leave us alone and refrain from calling her a pig," replied Sasuke. Sure, Ino and he were only on their first date, but that didn't mean he would stand for someone calling her a pig, especially someone whose forehead was the size of a piglet. "He is on a date with that pig," thought outer Sakura. "That bitch stole our man," and her screamed inner Sakura. "Yeah, you're right. Sasuke must be mine. I won't let Ino Pig have him." "Damn right I am, and no we won't." Then as Sakura came out of the trance that occurred when she talked to her true personality, she found Sasuke and Ino gone, and she skulked away, fuming about how she got away. "Well, that was a close one. Thank Kami we are finally here," said Sasuke under his breath. Sure, Ino was bad, but Sakura... As they walked into the restaurant, Sasuke asked the Martet, "May we have a table for 2? The short, bald man nodded and led the blossoming couple toward the table that would be theirs for the night. Sasuke pulled out Ino's chair and then proceeded to sit down. Ino walked around the place. The decorum was nice. There were paintings of forests and flowers. There were even a couple of bonsai. "Hello, are you ready to order?" asked the server, who was a teenage boy a little older than the two. "Yes, I'll have the tamaki," replied Sasuke. The cone-shaped sushi was something Hinata introduced him to. It was a safe bet to call him addicted. Not as bad as Naruto and ramen, but pretty bad. "I'll have the gunkan-maki," continued Ino. She was never a big fan of sushi until she tried that dish, which she loved almost more than any other. Their food came and they began eating. They continued talking until they finished their meal, at which point they left, and as Sasuke walked Ino home, he brought up the CRA. "So, Ino, I think there is something I have to tell you, considering that I had a great time and really want to see you again. You see, the council created something called the CRA. It makes it so I have to have 4 wives. The boy began. He saw the shock already building on Ino's face. "And each has to have a child by the time they are 18. I don't know how you feel, but..." I didn't want to keep this from you. Finished Sasuke. It came out rushed, but at least he got it out. He has to have 4 wives and I'd have to have a child by 18. Is he joking? No, he doesn't joke. I know him well enough to know better than that. Naruto is pretty much enough comedic release for that trio. I really like him, but can I share him? At least I'd have people going through this with me. What do I say? The platinum-haired girl thought. Well, Sasuke, I have liked you for a long time, but I need to think about this. Okay, said Ino hesitantly. She didn't want to lose her shot at Sasuke. Of course, Ino-chan, I would be worried if you didn't time. Besides, it isn't like we would be getting married tomorrow. He said this as the couple came to the door. Sasuke smiled at Ino and kissed her on the cheek, and she blushed. Sasuke kissed me, she thought. They said their goodbyes and Ino went inside. Sasuke went home to think about the date. Team 7. A man has submitted a simple escort and guard mission, but considering the instability of the country that he is going to, Wave Country, I am worried about surprises. Unfortunately, I cannot afford to send a team of Chunin on this mission. So I have decided that you are the best option for this, said the third. He was genuinely concerned about sending any other Genin team on this mission, but Team Dojutsu wasn't the average team of Genin. Of course, Hokage-sama, we will do our best to reach your expectations, responded Sasuke, not wanting his younger brother to embarrass the team. I hope so, Sasuke-kun, the Kage said. Then he said slightly louder, you can send in Tazuna-san now. With that, the doors opens and a man whose sake-filled breath could be smelled from Water Country stumbled into the room. He then spoke. These are the brats that are supposed to protect me. The blonde one looks goofy. That guy, I mean, how he can see with one eye, stuttered the drunken old man who was the only hope for his country. Sir, I can assure you that my team will protect you, replied Kakashi when their sensei finished. Sasuke waited for his brother's snide remarks, but they never came. He looked over to Naruto and Hinata expecting to see them holding hand, but instead he found them an arm's length apart. He thought, I wondered what Naruto did now. I better talk to Hinata. I want all of you to pack for a 3-week mission, Kakashi said, interrupting Sasuke's thoughts, and the cycloptic man left. Naruto, would you mind packing for me? I have to do something before we leave? Asked Sasuke. Naruto nodded and left. As Naruto was out of sight, Sasuke caught up to Hinata. Hinata-chan, I know it isn't my business, but why are you mad at Naruto? Questioned Sasuke. Hinata responded, well, last night. Flashback. Hinata and Hanabi sat in the former's room. They were pressing flowers. It was what they always did after training. It reminded her of times when she was young and would do this with her mother. Hinata-sama, your father requests your presence, said the branch member who stood at the doorway of the large room. Thank you, Naidoma-san, and Hanabi, keep pressing. I'll be back soon, said the lavender-eyed girl. She then walked to her father's office. When she arrived, she took the seat in front of him. Hinata-chan, there is something we need to talk about, but you must promise not to interrupt me. The girl nodded, wondering why her father would have her promise that, Hinata, you are betrothed to Naruto, and not only that, but Naruto must take 4 wives. Hinata was starting to get the whole no interrupting thing. Also, you must bear a child by your 18th birthday. The man finished with a sigh, worried about his daughter's response. This was a lot to take in. Flashback. So you are mad because you have to marry Naruto? Sasuke asked. He honestly never thought this would have been Hinata's reaction. Shocked, surprised, sure, but upset. He swore she had liked him enough to marry him. No, I'm mad because he didn't tell me himself, Hinata responded. Sasuke face-palmed and looked at Hinata. Your dad should really tell the whole story. He was the one that asked Naruto to let him tell you, Hinata, responded Sasuke. He understood how that could cause her to be upset. He was also glad he wouldn't have to deal with a moping Naruto. At the gate stood Team Dojutsu and Tazuna. Hinata now stood closer to Naruto like she usually did and had given him a kiss when he arrived. Naruto, ignorant to why Hinata had been mad, just went with the flow. The group walked Hinata behind Tazuna, Sasuke to the left and Naruto to the right, while Kakashi walked in front. Hinata had her Byakugan activated. She saw a group of 3 low Umbu level ninja. They were running towards them. 3 shinobi coming our way, yelled Hinata. In all of their C ranks, they had never once fought actual shinobi, only bandits. Hinata fall back to protect Tazuna. Naruto, Sasuke, you're with me, Kakashi said. He saw the doubt in Hinata's pupil-less eyes. The genin followed their orders. Then 3 ninja landed on the ground in front of them. They all wore umbu masks. Kakashi Hatake, also known as Kakashi of the Sharingan. You are losing your touch if you think a couple of genin could take out the IWA extermination unit, said the headman. All 3 wore standard umbu garb. Kakashi had heard of them. They were a group. They were a division of umbu that was unique to IWA. Their task: eliminate people found in the bingo book. You would be surprised what they are capable of. Naruto, Sasuke, no playing around, Kakashi said. Naruto and Sasuke understood, so they both activated their UMS. This was the first time the UMS would see outside the walls of Konoha. Ketan, Gukakyu no Jutsu. Sasuke and Naruto both yelled. This was Plan Delta, so it was distract and paralyze. You must be crazy if you think that will take us out, said the arrogant leader of the IWA team. What he didn't know was that there were 3 people behind them. Naruto's eyes changed as the 3 stepped back. 3 Naruto clones in back of them with Baijigen activated quickly yelled 121 points. Chakra release. When Naruto said that, Hinata's Byakugan saw what it did. It opened 121 tenketsu, completely causing the recipient to barely have chakra. Then Naruto walked up, placing paralysis tags on the 3. He then promptly passed out. The 3 of you go ahead. I need to take care of this, said Kakashi. Sasuke nodded as he picked up an exhausted Naruto. The combined chakra use was a lot. The UMS and Baijigen along with a C and S rank jutsu used a lot of chakra even for him. The quartet walked on until Hinata saw a puddle. The 3 thought it odd since it hadn't rained in days. Hinata took out one of the custom Raitun paralysis tags Naruto had given her. She placed it in the water, stepped back, and then activated it. Suddenly 2 ninja burst out of the water, shaking at the force of the Raitun. Then, after the convulsing stopped, the 2 lay paralyzed on the floor. Then Kakashi jumped out of the tree beside them. Sometimes I wish you guys weren't so efficient. I wanted to see who these 2, the demon brothers, were going for, Kakashi said. 5 ninja in one day, definitely not a C rank. It was me. You see, in Wave Country, a man named Gato has taken over. I'm building the bridge, so he can't control the economy anymore. I knew he would send ninja, but this was all the money my countrymen had, and we still couldn't get a B rank. I'll understand if you want to leave. I just hope they leave me in one piece for my daughter and grandson, said Tazuna, playing for sympathy. Don't try for sympathy, we won't give you any. But the Hokage gave my team this mission because he thought there was something fishy going on. This team is the most powerful genin team in the village, so you're in luck, Kakashi said. Thanks. Now let's keep going. I need to hurry and finish this bridge, said Tazuna. The group walked on. Hinata's Byakugan saw 2 ninja. One had the same power as Kakashi. You 2 can come out now, yelled Hinata to the rest of the group's surprise. Out of the bushes jumped 2 ninja. One was tall and noticeably muscular. He had pale skin, short spiky black hair, brown eyes, and small eyebrows. He had bandages like a mask over the bottom half of his face. The ninja on his left had long black hair, pale skin, a slender frame, and was also quite short. She wore an umbu mask. Zabuza Momochi, demon of the mist, A rank missing nin of Kirihagakure, wanted for treason against the Mizukage, said Kakashi. The man before them was dangerous, not to mention the added threat of the girl in the hunter nin mask. Kakashi of the Sharingan, it is an honor that you know my name. You were a kill on sight in the bingo book when I was one of the 7 swordsmen. But why don't you and the kids step aside while we kill the old man, said Zabuza. Kakashi threw 3 kunai at Zabuza. They all missed. What the target didn't see was the inscriptions on the kunai. Naruto had given his whole team these kunai. They were the parts of the 3-point paralysis seal jutsu. Zabuza was now completely immobilized. How did you do that? Thought the trapped Zabuza. But his thoughts were interrupted. Why do you need to kill the old man? Asked the now walking Naruto out of the blue. He had positioned himself in front of Hinata, much to her disdain. Well, you see, kid, running from hunter nin isn't cheap, responded Zabuza, unsure why he was answering the runt and also how he managed to get trapped. Well, if you want to get away from Kiri, I have an idea. You set up a meeting with your employer Gato and take him out helping us complete our mission. And then when this mission is over we take you back to Konohagakure under the protection of my brother and I, giving you amnesty," said Naruto. Kakashi was shocked. Not only would Zabuza help with the mission, but it would eliminate the risks involved, and as a plus Konohagakure gets an A rank nin. "That sounds great, kid, but your brother and you are just genin. How would your protection help us?" asked a skeptical Zabuza. "Well, actually Zabuza, Naruto, and Sasuke's protection would make you untouchable," said Kakashi, who at this point was on board with the plan. "Well, if that's true then I like this idea of yours," said Zabuza. Amnesty sounded great. No more running, and one day he would go back to the mist and become the Mizukage. "Tazuna-san, when can the bridge be done if you have 200 more workers?" asked Naruto. "Well, I don't know where you are going to find 200 extra worker. That will work for free, but it would take 1 week to finish," responded Naruto, wondering about finding 200 more people. "Well, Zabuza, meet us at the bridge in a week and make sure Gato is dead," said Naruto, wondering if he could trust the man. "I'll be there. Just make sure you can follow up on your end of the bargain," said Zabuza. With that, Zabuza and Haku left to their base. Team Dojutsu went on to the home of Tazuna. "Tsunami, Inari, I'm home," yelled Tazuna. The group hadn't seen him this happy the whole trip. "Thank you so much for keeping my father safe. Now how about we have dinner?" The woman the group assumed was Tsunami said. They walked and sat down at the table. Then a young boy walked in. "Grandpa, who are these people?" asked Inari. "These are the people who are going to help stop Gato," responded Tazuna with a smile at the thought of getting rid of Gato. "You should leave. You are weak. Gato is too strong. He will definitely kill you all," yelled Inari before running away. "I'm sorry about Inari, he's had a difficult life," said Tazuna. "Would you mind telling us what happened?" Hinata asked quietly. "I suppose." Tazuna responded. He told the story of Inari and Kyaza and how greatly Kyaza's death affected Inari. After the end of the story, Naruto got up and went to Inari, who he found on a balcony looking out toward the ocean. The young boy was crying. "Inari, do you think your dad would want you to cry?" "No, he would want you to help your grandfather and continue his legacy," said Naruto in the most determined voice he could muster. "What do you know about pain?" asked Inari, not expecting to get an answer. "What do I know about pain? Well, a man killed the entire clan that adopted me except for my brother, and most of the villagers hate me. But I get it, you are one of those people who think they are the only ones who know pain. What about your mom? She lost Kyaza too. But you don't help her, you're just a baby." "I'm not a baby, it just hurts," responded Inari with a voice caught in despair. "I know, but you can't let the hurt take you over. Use the hurt to carry on the legacy of Kyaza," said Naruto. He didn't want to be too hard on the boy because he thought he got the message. "Thank you," said Inari, finally realizing he had been wrong. The next morning, in a bunker hidden in the forest, Zabuza lay on a bed like he was hurt. This was part of his plan. Then Gato walked in. "You idiot, you let them get away. Some demon you are," said Gato as he moved toward the man who looked helpless. "See, Gato, the thing about demons is you can't really trust them," said Zabuza as he quickly drove a kunai into Gato's neck. "You bastard," the guards said before they tried to hurt Zabuza. Haku quickly sent 2 non-lethal senbon to their throat. The 2 bodies of the men hit the floor. "Haku, why don't you go into the forest or something while I clean up," said Zabuza. "Yes, Zabuza-sama." She left the compound and went toward the ocean. On her way there, she came upon a certain raven-haired boy. She shook him till he woke. "You know, if you sleep outside it's not good for," said Haku. "I know, I was training and I feel asleep. And by the way, I never got your name the other day," replied Sasuke. "My name is Haku," said Haku. "Well, it is nice to meet you, Haku. I have a question for you, though. How did you come to be with Zabuza?" asked Sasuke. He was genuinely interested in how such a pretty girl ended up with a missing nin. Haku told her story of how her father killed her mother and how Zabuza found her and gave her purpose. Sasuke gave his story of his family's death. They then kind of just sat there for a while. "Sasuke, it was nice talking to you, but I have to go back to Zabuza-sama," said Haku. Okay, Haku, but before you go I was wondering, would you like to go on a date when we go back home? Sasuke couldn't believe he asked a girl he just met on a date.
Sasuke.
Replied Haku before she left. As soon as she was turned around a light blush appeared. She stepped back into the hideaway and told Zabuza about her meeting, leaving out the date of course. The next day was a busy one. Kakashi got the note about Gato's death as well as the location and decided to take a side mission. So he got the team together. We are going to raid Gato's place for anything that we can get as bonuses for our mission. Okay, Kakashi-sensei, but where is it? Asked Naruto. Follow me, it is only a couple of miles away, said the Jounin, and then the team was off. They ran and they stopped in the bushes in front of the hideout. All right, Hinata, tell us how many people are inside, said Kakashi. The place is empty, Kakashi-sensei. It is a large warehouse, but in the back is a large safe, said Hinata, surprised that the place was already abandoned. Kakashi thought the same. Well then let's go in, said Kakashi. They went into the underground base. There was nothing but empty crates and chairs inside, so they walked to the safe in the back. Kakashi used a chakra key to open the vault. Inside say 4 things of insurmountable value. They bore the marks of an ancient clan and a kage. They belonged to the Uzumaki and had the mark of the Uzukage. Naruto looked on as he saw the 4 scrolls in front of him. They would allow him to truly restore his clan. He looked at the scrolls for seals with his Baijigen. Sure enough, there were blood seals on all of them. He activated the seals with a little of his blood. The first one he found contained a full collection of Uzumaki nin and Fuinjutsu. It was safe to say Naruto was ecstatic. He couldn't believe the prospect of having a true clan library. Then he opened the next scroll. It was armor from the first Uzumaki. It was like the armor of the first Uzumaki. It was in the style of the Nidame's armor, but it was black and in red paint with orange flakes. In the front it had the kanji for Uzumaki, and in the back it had the kanji for spirit. It was beautiful. It was made of chakra armor that hardened when infused with chakra. Naruto thought, I will definitely wear this when I become clan head. In the third chest was the Uzumaki summoning contract. It said Hydra. Naruto had never heard of a Hydra, but he hoped Bunta would let him sign this with the Toad one. He also told himself to let his future wives and children choose between this and the Toads. In the last chest was something Naruto felt elated about. It was 2 things. It was the rest of the Uzumaki Yuzu no Mai style scrolls as well as a katana. This blade was no regular one. It was the blade of the first Uzukage. The scabbard was black and engraved in gold. Red and orange was the kanji spirit of the Uzumaki. The handle was red, orange and black braiding, and at the bottom was the clan symbol. The blade itself was magnificent. The hamon was like rolling waves, and the blade had engraved first Uzukage. Naruto, this wasn't just Gato's hideout. This was an Uzumaki safe house that was used to store artifacts. The Uchiha and Hyuga also have these, said Sasuke, who was happy for his brother. Naruto, seal this stuff up and let's go. Obviously you can keep this stuff since it belongs to your clan, said Kakashi. Throughout the next 5 days, 200 Naruto clones helped with the bridge, and another 100 practiced the newly discovered Uzumaki stuff. Naruto decided to wait till he got back to Konoha to talk to Bunta and the Hydra, while the real Naruto spent time between Hinata and Inari. Sasuke wanted to train to get stronger, so he asked Kakashi to teach him. Kakashi wanted Sasuke to learn Chidori, so he put 50 pounds of weights on Sasuke's arms and legs. It was the last day and the bridge was done. Unknown to the villagers, a group of 60 men came to take what they were owed since Gato was dead. At the head was missing rock Nin Deidara. This was his test to join the Akatsuki. They made it to the front of the bridge. Deidara blew up the front of the bridge. Kakashi turned instantly and saw who the man was. The battle ensued. The bandits behind the man were easily handled by Sasuke and Hinata. Kakashi knew Naruto could use the explosion release. You sent a kid to fight me, what a joke, but he'll make a great work of art. Explosion release, clay birds, yelled Deidara. But what happened next surprised even Kakashi. Explosion release, clay birds, Naruto repeated, and at that instant half the birds in the flock turned and went to attack Deidara. The birds all exploded at the same time and covered the two in smoke. The next moment Deidara and Naruto both landed on the ground. Impossible, yelled Deidara. He thought no one out of IWA had it. Oh well, explosion release, great death. All of Deidara's clay went toward Naruto. Naruto strained to fight the clay back. It exploded between the two fighters. Out of the smoke, Naruto saw Deidara on a large bird flying away. That kid was tough, and without the clay there was no way I could take Kakashi or Zabuza, thought Deidara. Naruto passed out again. It was really tough using a new bloodline. They fixed the bridge in 2 days and went back to Konoha. The town then started saying their goodbyes. Inari was the last and hugged Naruto. Naruto told him to get stronger and help his mom and grandpa whenever they needed it. Inari agreed and went back to the big group. After saying their final goodbyes, the Konoha group with Haku and Zabuza all left across the bridge and headed back home. Hey Gramps, what should we call the bridge? Inari asked his grandpa. Well, I think we should call it the Great Konoha Bridge. All in favor? Tazuna yelled, and getting a loud yes reply, they all agreed on the name. And from that day forth in Wave Country, the story of Team 7 circulated through the entire country of Wave. The group of now 6 people walked up to the gate. Izumo and Kotetsu saw the group coming. Kakashi, who are the other 2 people with your group? Asked Kotetsu. This is Zabuza Momochi and Haku Yuki, replied Kakashi coolly. At mention of the name Kotetsu and Izumo tightened. They had heard stories of the man, and quite frankly he was terrifying. He must be taken into custody immediately, said Izumo quickly. Just as Naruto was about to reply, he was shocked to hear Sasuke speak first. That will not be necessary. Zabuza Momochi and Haku Yuki are under the protection of the Uzumaki and Uchiha clans, said Sasuke. The Chunin looked at Kakashi, who simply nodded. The Chunin let them go to the Hokage. Naruto, I've been meaning to ask you, how you know about village law? Kakashi asked in a curious manner. Well, Ota-san knew I was going to be clan head, so he taught me clan law, said Naruto matter-of-factly. The group made it to the Hokage Tower and went into his office. Hokage-sama, our mission was a success, but in regards to others present, Naruto and I request asylum for Zabuza Momochi and Haku Yuki, said Sasuke in an official way. To gain asylum one must be interrogated, so that is unavoidable. After that they will be tested for the current level of skill, after which they will become shinobi. For now though they will need somewhere to live. The Hokage responded. He actually couldn't wait to hear how all of this came to be from Kakashi later. Thank you for your acceptance, Hokage-sama, said Zabuza and Haku in a very respectful tone. Also, we can provide housing, said Naruto. That will be acceptable. Snake, badger, tiger ID. You could take Ibiki-san, the Hokage said. The Umbu took the pair to Ibiki. Kakashi, here is the paperwork you asked for, the Hokage said. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Here you go. Fill these out and go to room 301 2 days from now. It's for the Chunin exams. You are dismissed. The group nodded and left the office along with Kakashi. Sasuke went home while Hinata and Naruto walked the village. Something interesting happened. In the council room, a familiar place to the Hokage, sat the council ready for his arrival. The Hokage walked in the room with full robes on and sat in his chair. I am here to inform you of the arrival of 2 people into the village who request amnesty, said the Hokage. He hated these protocol as it forced him to meet with the council, and somehow they always brought up Naruto. Their names are Zabuza Momochi and Haku Yuki. Now let's get this over with. Who votes in? Hokage-sama, what do this ninja have that make them worthy of being given amnesty? Asked a civilian councilman who received nods from the rest of the council. The Hokage was hoping they'd just let it go on by. Zabuza Momochi and Haku Yuki helped with the completion of an A-rank mission. I'll go into detail after the civilian council departs. And upon completion, the Uzumaki clan and the Uchiha clan placed them under their protection. Zabuza Momochi was an A-class missing ni known for being a kenjutsu and assassination specialist. He was one of the 7 swordsmen. Haku Yuki is the last known member of the Yuki clan. She has the ice release Kekai Genkai. So no, would you please vote? Said the Hokage, tired of explaining. 75% voted for their admission, and when the Hokage was about to dismiss the civilian council, when one of them decided to speak. Hokage, we request that the KY He received glares and corrected himself. Naruto Uzumaki be barred from the Chunin exams. The Hokage was pissed but responded. Your request is denied, now all civilians get out, said the angry village leader. The civilians begrudgingly left as they were reminded how little power they actually had. Now for the report of Team 7 aka Team Dojutsu. They were first attacked by their Jounin-level ninja from Iwa's famed elimination squad. Their target was Kakashi. At this point he saw the shock on many of the clan heads. Sasuke and Naruto handled it. Naruto passed out after this. Hinata's Byakugan found a puddle laced with chakra. She used one of Naruto paralysis tags and found the shinobi in the puddle were the demon brothers. They met Zabuza and company, convincing them to assist. After this, there was a battle on the now named Konoha Bridge between Naruto and Deidara. There was a side mission in which Naruto retained some clan artifacts. He is now in possession of 6 bloodlines, including explosion and ice release. He managed to find one of the slugs that produces exploding clay. The group was shocked and Hayashi was silently happy that he had betrothed his daughter to the boy who would surely become Hokage. Naruto and Hinata walked hand in hand until they noticed a large square rock following them. You can come out now, said Naruto, and without a loud puff and a huge cloud of smoke 3 short coughing academy students came to view. I'm Miyogi, the sassiest kunoichi around.
I'm Udon. I like algebra.
And I'm Konohamaru, the leader, and we're the Konohamaru Corps, went the trio. Then Konohamaru ran up to Naruto and took the sealing scroll on his back, trying to play ninja. Konohamaru ran into a tall kid with purple makeup on his face. Hey, watch where you are going, kid, yelled Kankuro. You know, Kankuro, you could be a little nicer, said Naruto kind-heartedly. Then Naruto looked at the beautiful girl standing next to Kankuro, Temari. She was tall and had green eyes with blonde hair, which is gathered into 4 ponytails. Temari's outfit consisted of a single light purple-colored, off-the-shoulders garment that extended to halfway down her thighs, with a scarlet sash tied around her waist. Hinata was shocked at what happened next. Temari went up and kissed Naruto deeply on the lips. The boy was shocked. The girl pulled back. Temari-chan, Kankuro-san, said Naruto, still in shock. Temari-chan, it is nice to see my fellow fiancé again, said Hinata, a little mad about the kiss. What do you mean, fellow fiancé? Hinata asked Temari on the defensive. She had known about her engagement since she was 12 and knew that if Naruto passed the Chunin selection she would never go back to Suna, but she didn't know anything about this. Well, you see, Temari-chan, because of my dojutsu I have to have multiple wives, and Hinata is one of the current 2, replied Naruto, a little scared of his future wife. He realized that Kankuro had vanished from the group and all he could think was, damn bastard. Oh, really? Father never told me anything about this, was all Temari could say before Gaara interrupted previously. Well, you see, Temari-chan, because of my dojutsu I have to have multiple wives and Hinata is one of the current 2, replied Naruto, a little scared of his future wife. He realized that Kankuro had vanished from the group and all he could think was, damn bastard. Oh, really? Father never told me anything about this, was all Temari could say before Gaara interrupted. This time, Mother wants your blood. She says you will prove my existence, Gaara said before he used the Suna Shunshin to leave. Naruto stared in shock before he could finally spoke. Temari, what happened to Gaara? Naruto asked. They had been friends. This wasn't the Gaara he knew. This Gaara was crazy. Can you give us some time alone? I'll tell you what happened later, he whispered to Hinata. She nodded and she left, but not without getting a kiss with just a little tongue, which made her blush. No matter how many times they kissed in public, she would still blush a light pink. As Hinata turned around and left for the Hyuga compound, Naruto placed his arm around Temari. She was obviously shaken, and he was trying desperately to comfort her. He knew Temari was the type of person to hide her feelings from other people. They walked in silence through the village, receiving strange looks. It was no secret that Naruto was dating Hinata, so why was he comforting this girl in such an intimate way? But Naruto didn't really care. Temari was his fiancée too. They finally arrived in Naruto's favorite place on top of the Yandame's face. He thought it would be a great place to calm her down. They laid down on the stone and stared at the cloud. Naruto had learned to love Shikamaru's favorite pastime. It was so calming. "Temari-chan, what happened?" Naruto asked, still in some form of shock as the two lay there. He knew she had been close with her littlest brother, and him acting like this must be killing her. "The year after we stopped visiting you, a group of AIM Nin came, and then after they left he just changed. He didn't remember who we were or the past. He started threatening people," Temari said in a depressed way. She wanted to cry, but she was a kunoichi and just couldn't let herself. "Temari, I promise you I'll give you your brother back no matter what it takes, Databeo," said a very serious Naruto. It was strange, whenever he got like this that word just came out. "Thank you, Naruto-kun," was all she said before she pulled him toward her. She was happy she knew enough to know Naruto kept his promises. She didn't know what came over her as she kissed him, but this kiss escalated quickly. Naruto's eyes widened as her tongue entered his mouth. He soon began the battle for dominance, and just as he began to win, Temari ended the kiss. She had never kissed a boy. She felt like it would be cheating on Naruto, but now that she was with him she felt like she could have fun. But then she remembered 3 letters CRA. "Naruto-kun, I was hate to ruin the moment, but we need to talk about the CRA," said the blonde girl. Naruto pouted in a cute way. Temari was really a great kisser, even if the kiss was sudden. "Well, Temari-chan, the CRA is made to protect my dojutsu." Naruto began, only to be interrupted by Temari. "You have a dojutsu?" shouted the stunned girl. She couldn't believe her fiancé had a dojutsu, and she had no idea, but then again her fiancé had another fiancé and she didn't know. "Yes, it is called the Baijigen. It allows me to copy bloodlines or pretty much anything. It also lets me use yin and yang chakra easily. Lastly, it gives me the ability to change, make, and erase seals with just my eyes. But anyway, about the CRA, it means I have to have 4 wives and restart the Uzumaki clan. You and Hinata are both my fiancé, so I figure you two will decide whether or not the girls are okay," said Naruto. He was worried about how the girl would react. He didn't want to trap Temari. "Well, Naruto-kun, I'm glad you will let me and Hinata have a say about the other girls," said Temari. "Of course I would. I love you both, and also I want you and your brothers and Baki-san to stay with me on my compound. Okay?" asked Naruto. Temari gave him a quick kiss in response. "All right, we'll go pick them up at the hotel. They probably haven't unpacked yet," a happier Temari said. They proceeded to pick up Temari's team and go to the compound. As they walked, Naruto and Kankuro talked with Temari hand in hand with Naruto. Baki walked next to Gaara, watching him. "So you have to have 4 wives and one of them is my sister. Wow, I would pray to all the kamis if I were you, Naruto," said Kankuro. At first he thought the boy was lucky, but that was short-lived when he thought about living with 4 women like his sister. They arrived at the compound. "Hey Gaara, Temari, Kankuro, Baki." Sasuke waved. Naruto pointed to the room. "You will do well to prove my existence," Gaara said before going to the room that he would be his. Sasuke was informed of the situation during dinner. After dinner, the Sunanin left to the house in the back. Before Temari left, she decided to pull Naruto aside to kiss him for a 3rd time that day. Naruto concluded that Temari was a little more liberal with the kissing. Naruto decided to have lunch with both girls the next day. Sasuke and Naruto sat down in the living room to discuss Sasuke's day. Flashback with Sasuke earlier that day. Sasuke Uchiha walked slowly away from the Hokage's office. It had been almost 2 weeks since his date with Ino. He couldn't help but wonder if she had made her decision. He walked on, though he was very tired and had his date with Haku tomorrow. He made it to his compound after receiving bows from all the villagers calling him Uchiha-sama. He hated the way they kissed up to him, but then hated his brother. The boy walked through the gate and went into his home. He took off his ninja uniform and put on civilian clothes. He walked out of the bathroom and stared out into the room that was his parents' room. He just stood there for a minute. He proceeded into the room and went to lay on the bed. His finger got cut on the end table, and almost as if in slow motion, a drop of his blood fell to the floor. When the blood hit the floor, something happened that Sasuke wasn't prepared for. A bright red seal that reminded Sasuke of fire glowed on the floor. In the middle was the kanji for secret. After this happened, a trapdoor opened and Sasuke found 2 scrolls. Both were made of black paper, similar to the kind Naruto had found in the safe house. He read the 2 scrolls. The first one read Secret Technique, Phoenix Fire Armor. He looked at the Jutsu scroll and saw why it was an S-rank technique. The amount of chakra it required was insane. Luckily for him, though, ever since his blood promise with Naruto, his chakra levels was at the same level, so was Hinata's, but Kyuubi had said it couldn't work again. He took the scrolls into the backyard and learned the technique. It took him 20 minutes. It was a simple jutsu. It was just high on chakra. Basically, the jutsu let chakra seep out in its fire transformation. Basically, as long as you have chakra, you have armor. You could also control the temperature. After he was done with the jutsu, he moved on to the second scroll, which was much larger than the first. He read the front. It said, Phoenix Summon. This was the second animal he had never heard of, along with the Hydra. He wondered why both of these used black paper. He signed the contract. After that, he performed the seals. He remembered because Jiraiya-sensei had taught them to all of them. He placed his hands on the floor, and then the pattern appeared. He yelled, Kuchios no Jutsu. Phoenix. A giant cloud of black smoke appeared before him. It was near 20 feet in height. The cloud blew away, and before Sasuke stood one of the most beautiful creatures he had ever seen. The phoenix was 18 feet in height. It had talons and a beak, both made of obsidian. The bird had feathers of yellow and dark orange like fire. Its skin was swirls of crimson, red, and bright orange. The most amazing thing, though, was that the bird was on fire. It was just a small fire, though it reminded him of the armor jutsu. Sasuke's thoughts were interrupted, though, by a loud voice that was almost like a song. Who dare summon I, the Queen of the Phoenix? Said the mighty being. She had not been summoned in 200 years. She was quite happy in her own realm. I did, Lady Phoenix. I am Sasuke Uchiha. I am the last Uchiha, said Sasuke. He knew that he shouldn't have the Phoenix Queen. Looking down at the young Uchiha, the Phoenix Queen sneered. I see. Another young Uchiha thinking he can just summon me at will. Well, Sasuke-chan, unfortunately for you, I will not squander my talent on just a mere child. So for me to allow you told the Phoenix contract, you must fight me. The Phoenix said, flapping his wings allowed him to rise to the air. Eternal flames of the Phoenix, Hano yelled before a white-hot ball of flame, the size of the Nidame's head, went barreling towards Sasuke. Field of distortion. Ceiling of fire, Sasuke shouted. It was one of the jutsu of the universal Mangekyō Sharingan. It created a large ring of Amaterasu flames that absorbed Keton jutsu. Maybe this child is something special. Those eyes are greater than his, thought Hano. Sasuke decided not to depend on the UMS, so he tried out another defense. Secret technique. Phoenix Fire Armor, shouted the boy as his body became covered in a thin layer of fire. Time to go on the offensive, thought Sasuke. Fire and lightning, eternal vortex of shocking flame, was all Hano heard, but Sasuke said something else, his under-breath, secret seal. Pentagram of paralysis, he said. Hano had risen to the sky in avoidance of his Keton Raitun combination. She hadn't seen the pentagram on the ground, the points made of Sasuke's kunai. As the phoenix landed, the seal expanded, and she couldn't move. Every time she moved, a large amount chakra was drained. The seal worked by draining someone's chakra if there was movement. It seems I was wrong about this boy. Of course I was at 1/5 power, but this was still amazing. He was the first Uchiha who had passed the test while not relying entirely on the Sharingan. Sasuke, you have passed the test. Now if you could release the jutsu, she began, and she sighed as the constricting jutsu was released. Now you may ask me 3 questions before I must go. Well, my first question, Hano-sama, would be, what are the powers of a phoenix? Asked Sasuke. He wondered how strong they were. How funny that just so happens to be the first question Saisho, your ancestor, asked me. The powers of the phoenix are many. We are fire spirits. Our first ability is that to be born of our ashes. If we don't die in battle, we are immortal. Our second ability, you are familiar with the fire on my feathers. I can make it as big or small as want and as hot or cold as I want. The second ability is our ability to breathe fire. The third is that we can fly. The last power is secret to the phoenix, only known to our summoner. It is a last resort as it can affect our friends. Our shriek can kill any adversary. Said the phoenix. She had no problem boasting the strength of her species. My second question is the difference between black and white summon scrolls. The boy was curious. He had seen the monkey and toad scrolls, and they were different than the Hydra and the Phoenix scrolls. The difference is that the white scrolls contain normal animals and the black scrolls are mythical summons. We mythical summons are far more powerful, though the other summons are very powerful too," said the bird creature. "All right, I have one last question. Will you be my summon?" asked the raven-haired boy. "Sasuke, I stopped being a personal summon after Madara. I just can't do this. I'm sorry, but I think my daughter would be happy as your personal summon," said the Phoenix Queen before she disappeared. She was quickly replaced by a smaller phoenix of about 12 feet in height. "My name is Heishi, and I guess from now on we will be partners," she said. They continued talking for a while, and then she poofed back to her home. "Well, that was interesting," Sasuke said to no one in particular. Flashback end. "Well, I know who I will be talking to tomorrow," Naruto said, and on that note the boys went to their separate rooms for bed. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto wandered forward in what he knew to be his mind. The last time he had been here he had been with his father. Naruto hadn't spoken to Kyuubi since, so he wondered why he had been called here. He walked into the dojo to see Kyuubi sitting there.
Hello, Kyuubi-sama,
said Naruto. He always wanted a better relationship with the Kyuubi. If you are stuck with somebody, you might as well get to know them. "No need for that, Kit. The reason I called you here was just for a chat. For you see, you have now absorbed enough of my chakra to the point I can talk to you without you being here. Also, you can now control my chakra, though you will need a lot of practice." "Well, that was it, Naruto. I'll talk to you later." The next day. The sun hadn't reached the sky and the moon still illuminated the village hidden in the leaves when Naruto woke up that morning around 3. He usually awoke at 5 for training, but he didn't want the village seeing what he was doing. He dressed in his new clothes. He wore black ninja pants with an orange shirt. On top of that was the chest piece of his ancestors' armor. He also wore a cloak. It was similar to his father's. It was white, but on the bottom was orange fire and black lightning. On his back it said, "Naruto of the Infinite Bloodline." Over these words were his 2 katana forming an X. Naruto walked outside the door. He created 50 shadow clones. They were divided into 5 categories: Hiraishin no Jutsu, the next were trying to incorporate natures into the Rasengan, the next was working on dual blade Kenjutsu, and the 4th was working on ninjutsu, and the last Fuinjutsu. He was working on summoning. To do the summoning he went into the largest clearing in the Uchiha Uzumaki forest. He stood there in the clearing, but then he did some hand seals: boar, dog, bird, monkey, ram. He then yelled, "Niju Kuchios no Jutsu, Hydra and Toad." He pumped in all of his chakra. Naruto was in awe. In front of him was Gamabunta, which was who he was trying to summon, but standing across from him was the creature called Hydra. The creature in front of him was unlike anything Naruto had ever seen. Its body was covered in scales like a snake, but it had 4 legs and wings. It also had 7 heads. "Gamabunta, the Toad boss, and you must be the one who summoned me," the Hydra boss said, looking at Naruto with one of its heads. "We, the Hydra, know a lot about you, Uzumaki Naruto, but if I may ask why you have summoned Gamabunta and myself?" "My name is Ryuoi, the Hydra King, by the way," said the beast who was now named. "I summoned you here for the purpose of asking you a question. I am aware I can summon you both. I do want to know though, will the Toads and the Hydras become the summons of the Uzumaki clan?" The boy knew that the Hydras and Toads were powerful and could help him to protect his clan. "I will allow this, though the clan can only have a maximum of 10 summoner at a time, and these will also hold the Hydra contract. They will be given the contract by the clan head. These are my conditions if both you and Ryuoi are willing to accept them," said the Toad boss. He liked the idea of partnering with the Uzumaki and the Hydra. "I like the terms Gamabunta has put forth and accept them if you can beat me without the help of Gamabunta," said Ryuoi. He thought it was time. The Uzumaki were once again feared along with the Hydras, but he would not allow a weak summoner. "I accept these terms and thank you both," Naruto said, and with that the smaller of the 2 boss summons disappeared, leaving white smoke. "We Hydras are creatures of water. Let us see how you fare against me. 5-headed attack. Water release, water cannon. Boil release, giant geyser. Ice release, 100,000 needles. Mud release, great rift. Cloud release, heavy fog," yelled 5 of the heads of the Hydra. He knew this was overkill, but if he could block this attack, he would be the first Hydra summoner in centuries. Naruto's UMS began to spin. There was only one way he could block this attack. Kagebunshin no Jutsu, yelled the boy. A wall of clones with the Baijigen for eyes appeared. The attacks neared. The rift opened, and the clones jumped back and yelled in unison, "Boil release." Wall of geysers, with that 25 geysers in front of the clones blew boiling hot water. The wall stopped the encroaching attacks. No, Naruto did not spontaneously make a new jutsu. In reality, he used boil release great geyser 25 times, forming a wall of water. You have passed the test, and for that you will have my son as your summon. I must now bid you adieu, the Hydra said, disappearing in a cloud of smoke. Naruto continued his training and ran around the village, hidden. It was still dark outside. Naruto sensed 4 chakra signatures following him, and so he stopped and turned around to confront them. Come out, whoever you are, the boy said. He saw a girl step out. She was beautiful, really. She had red triangles on her face, she had long brown hair and dark eyes. She was about Temari's age. He knew her from somewhere, but he couldn't place it. That was until he saw the 3 dogs step out from behind her. The girl was Kiba's 16-year-old sister, and a very pretty girl. Naruto wondered, Kyubi-sama, you think Kiba would kill me for asking out his sister? Knowing the Inuzuka, he would probably try, Kyubi replied. Too bad for him, Naruto thought. I'm going for it. You know it's not polite to stalk people, Naruto finally spoke up. Hana blushed slightly, unknown to Naruto. Don't flatter yourself, I was just training on following people in ambush, responded the girl. She thought Naruto was cute, and really, who didn't? The blonde hair and the blue eyes, not to mention he was very strong. Something all Inuzukas desired in a mate. Well, I could help you, if you would go on a date with me, Naruto said. And what about your girlfriend? Questioned the girl. She would be nobody's mistress, strong or not. Well, the CRA requires me to have 4 wives. The boy responded, not wanting her to think he was a pervert. Well, when would this date be? Asked the girl. In truth, if he had to have 4 wives, she wouldn't mind going out with him. From what she saw around the village of how he treated, he was a gentleman. This was not common among the Inuzuka. In 10 days I'll pick you up. See you then, Naruto said before he disappeared in a Katan Shunshin. The sun was now overwhelming the people of the leaf on this hot summer day. The Sunagenin thought the villagers were crazy if this was hot. The light shined in on the 2 girls sitting inside the Korean barbecue. The 2 girls were in an awkward predicament. 5 minutes ago, the Umbu walked into the restaurant and walked to the table. Naruto had seen them when they arrived. Naruto-sama, your presence is requested in the council room immediately, the Umbu said. Thank you, Naruto responded. The Umbu proceeded to Shunshin away. Naruto smiled sadly at the girls. They had just arrived and he had to go. Temari-chan, Hinata-chan, I have to go. Here is some money for you both, the boy said, and then he kissed both of them in a chaste way before using the Raitun Shunshin away. The 2 girls sat quietly eating their beef and rice. So, Hinata, I think we should establish some rules in this harem, said Temari, trying to break the silence. I agree. I think the first thing we should talk about is where we will all sleep. Hinata said she agreed with the rules and the things they needed to discuss about the arrangements. Yeah, you're right, I never thought about that. I guess we could take turns sleeping on the same bed, or just have a really big bed, finished Temari. The girls continued talking while they ate and later went shopping. The girls were friends since they were little after all. They decided whatever happened they would do this together. Naruto landed in front of the Hokage's tower. He moved inside and went into the room that was meant for the council. He entered the room and saw that all the clan heads were there. He sat in a seat across from his brother. They were towards the end of the long table. The Sandaime saw that everyone was here. This was the worst thing he was going to have to say since he announced the start of the 4th Shinobi World War. Are you all familiar with the Kiri bloodline purges? Asked the 3rd Fire Shadow. He received nods all around. Well, the leader of the rebellion, Mei Terumi, has sent us word of a meeting between the Otokage and the Mizukage. They plan to invade Konoha during the last stage of the exams. He gave the room some time to take in this news. Naruto, Sasuke, Team Dojutsu will remain, but you 2 will be promoted to Jounin and Hinata Chunin. You will still take part in the exam so we don't raise suspicions. Finished the Hokage. That means I am getting married in a month and a half, said Naruto in shock. Hokage-sama Naruto and I now hold 2 of the 5 most powerful summons. We will be sure to summon them that day in preparation for battle, said Sasuke. He and Naruto swore to defend the village like Itachi would have wanted. What are these summons, if I may ask? Questioned Hayashi. The Phoenix and the Hydra, said Sasuke, figuring they wouldn't know about the mythical creatures. You hold the summons of legend. I thought they were mere myth, said Hayashi in one of the few moments he allowed emotion. Naruto-kun was the chorus made by Hinata and Temari as Naruto entered the Uzumaki clan's head house. Naruto was glad to see the girls being friendly with each other. How are my 2 favorite girls? Questioned the boy before kissing them both. He was nervous about telling them of the now soon approaching marriage. Girls, I need to talk to you. Well, the first thing is pretty minor. I asked a girl out on a date. He saw the looks on their faces. They were mad. Of course you 2 will decide if she is okay or not, he said, trying not to get into too much hot water. Who is this girl, Naruto-kun? Asked Hinata. She didn't want some fangirl tricking Naruto, who was at times a little too trusting and gullible. Hana Inuzuka, said Naruto nervously. Would they approve, he thought. Well, Hana is nice. I think she'll be fine, Naruto-kun, but she will need to talk to us before the date, said Hinata, worrying about another older girl being with Naruto. What is the other thing you wanted to tell us, Naruto-kun? Asked Temari, who was worried about this Inuzuka girl, despite Hinata's statements. Well, this is an A-rank secret. Directly after our exam, Sasuke and I will be Jounin and Hinata a Chunin. Team Dojutsu will remain though, so in a month and 10 days we will be married. Naruto said. He hadn't had a single clue how the girls, but this wasn't it. Well, I guess it was a bit shocking for them, the boy thought. He moved the girls into 2 of the bedrooms, and while they slept he went outside. Gaara stood outside of Naruto's home. He could no longer wait. He wanted the Kyuubi's blood. Naruto walked outside and saw Gaara. He activated his Baijigen, and that is when he saw it. Gaara had 2 seals, one of which was a seal to inhibit the mind. This means Shikaku was in control, Gaara thought Naruto. Then he said in a whisper as not to alert Shikaku, mental inhibitor release. Using his Baijigen, he removed the seal. He saw Gaara drop to his knees. I guess it worked, Naruto thought. I'm sorry I hurt them, they hate me. Help me, Naruto, Gaara said. He watched as Naruto came forward and touched his forehead, entering a joint mindscape. Gaara, it wasn't your fault. I know it wasn't. I don't hate you. You are and always will be my friend. Also, your brother loves you and so does your sister. Can you tell me how this happened? Said Naruto. He wanted to know who had hurt one of his precious people. The ninja from Mangekyō. He knew I was a Jinchuriki. He trapped me and threatened my family. He then sealed me and then gave Shikaku control, and I was trapped in my mind watching. Shikaku couldn't become fully formed though, because of when Jiraiya-sama fixed my seal. Finished Gaara. He couldn't wait to see Temari and Kankuro. Temari, Kankuro, and a newly freed Gaara spent the night talking. They hadn't all spoken in 5 long years. Gaara was ecstatic. The 3 of them were ready to become Chunin. Naruto, Sasuke, and Hinata walked into the door of the academy. They proceeded to walk up the stairs. They found a large group of genin. They then saw Neji and his team kneeling on the floor. Previously, Naruto, Sasuke, and Hinata walked into the door of the academy. They proceeded to walk up the stairs. They found a large group of genin. They then saw Neji and his team kneeling on the floor. Now, Naruto and his team walked forward to find the Team 9 begging for the permission to enter a door that was obviously under Genjutsu. They walked past the scene, dispelling the Genjutsu, and went to the real room 301. They entered it, and inside they saw the so-called Rookie 9. Sasuke-kun, you're here, Sakura shouted with joy as she jumped on the boy. Sakura-san, it would be wise of you to remove yourself from me. Uchiha spoke in a voice he used to scare away his fangirls. When she did as advised, Sasuke walked away, kissing Ino on the cheek as a greeting. This caused the girl to blush. That made her think more about the decision that was still unmade. You're here too, troublesome, Shikamaru said lazily. You bet we are, an overly enthusiastic Naruto exclaimed, receiving another troublesome from the lazy Nara. Then the Rookie 9 noticed a gray-haired ninja, who introduced himself as Kabuto. Hey you guys, quiet down. The last thing you want is to cause a scene, Kabuto told the rookies. Although I can't blame you. I remember how I was when I was a rookie myself. So you've taken this test before? Sakura asked the newcomer. Actually, this is my 7th time, since the exam is held twice a year, Kabuto said with a hint of shame in his voice. Well then, I guess you're not cut out to be a chunin, Naruto said. Shut it, Naruto baka. So you must know a lot about these exams, right? Sakura said in a way that most would consider screaming at the top of your lungs. Yep, I'll even share some of my info with you, using the Nin cards, Kabuto said, whipping out a deck of cards. On these cards is information on every ninja in this competition. Is there anyone you want information on? How about Gaara of the Desert and Naruto and Sasuke of the Hidden Leaf? Kiba said, making his presence known. He was afraid of this Gaara as the boy smelled of death and a raccoon strangely enough. First, Gaara. 8 C ranks and wow, a B rank mission. Since he's a newcomer, I don't have much information on him, but it looks like he has returned from all of his missions without even a single scratch. Also, he is the youngest child of the Yondaime Kazekage. Uchiha Sasuke, classified, that is all I have. Looks like the same with Naruto, said Kabuto as the duo received strange looks from Kiba and Shikamaru. He then explained that the top genin from the leaf, sand, sound, grass, waterfall, and cloud were here too. He went on that since the sound was new, they were probably nothing to worry about. All of a sudden, a trio of sound ninja jumped out of the crowd and attacked Kabuto. He easily dodged the first strike, however, he was hit by another force soon enough, a sound wave. His glasses cracked with the vibrations. We are Dosu, Kin and Zaku of the sound, and put this in your Nin cards, the genin from sound will make chunin, the boy said, jumping at Kabuto again. The fight started to escalate. A large puff of smoke in the front of the room stopped every action. Quiet down, you worthless bastards, the new ninja said as the smoke dissipated. Behind him stood a few dozen chunin. The man wore a long black trench coat with a leaf bandana and his face was covered with many scars. Most of the leaf ninja knew him as Ibiki, the torture and interrogation specialist. I am Ibiki Marino, the proctor for the first exam. Take your seats now before I decide to start kicking you people out. Nobody doubted him, and with it, an order was brought back to the room. He started handing out the tests and Naruto realized that none of the rookies, except Shikamaru, could answer the questions. Now I will explain the rules. Questions will not be allowed, Ibiki said as he began to write on the board. The first rule is that you will start off with 10 points. The test is made up of 10 questions and each question is worth a point. For every question you get wrong, you lose a point. The second rule is that this is a team test. Your entire team will pass or fail based on a combined score of your team. Now, the third rule is that every time you are caught cheating, you will lose 2 points. If you are caught 5 times, your entire team fails. The last rule is that those who lose all their points and those who don't answer any questions correctly will automatically fail their entire team. All right, begin, Ibiki announced. The entire room started the exam, quickly realizing that it contained some extremely difficult questions. Fortunately, Sasuke, Hinata, and Naruto were all built for this test. Using their dojutsu, they began to copy the answers from the ones who knew them. They had all realized that this was the point of the test. Shino had released his insects to gather information for answers, logically double-checking every piece of information he got. Meanwhile, Akamaru was being on a lookout from Kiba's head, scanning the room and barking him the correct answers. Niji had activated his Byakugan, giving him the ability to see through anyone and to look at any test in the room. Sakura, on the other hand, had the intelligence to solve 3 of the questions. Ino used her family jutsu to switch with Shikamaru and use his answers, also giving them to Choji. Look, Kit, now that you are done, I need to tell you something. I can feel 5 more people like you in these exams, the demon fox said before being interrupted. What? Naruto screamed in his mind. 1 girl from the cloud, 1 boy from the mist, 1 girl from the waterfall, 1 from the stone and 1 from the sand. Also, before you ask, no, I don't know who they are nor if they are in control, said the QB. She was worried about her kit and his vixens. Before Naruto could respond, Ibiki began talking once again. All right, time's up, Ibiki announced, chuckling inside his head. He would finally get to make them squirm. It is now time for the 10th and final question. By this time, only about 120 of 200 exam participants remained. Everyone who stayed looked at Ibiki in anticipation. They wondered what the question would be. Before I give you the last question, you must decide whether or not to take it. What do you mean choose whether or not we take the question? A certain blonde sand genin asked. What happens if we chose not to take it? Well, that is simple enough. In that case, your points are instantly dropped to 0 and you with your whole team fail the test, Ibiki explained. What does that mean? Of course we will take it then. Another test taker shouted, wondering what was going on. It wasn't making any sense. Under these conditions, who wouldn't take it? If you and your team choose to take the 10th question and then answer incorrectly, you will be barred from participating in these exams, remaining a genin for the rest of your insignificant lives. Ibiki said, silencing everyone in the room. That's the dumbest rule I've ever heard. There are people here who have taken these exams tons of times. Kiba shouted as Akamaru barked along with him. Well, I guess you guys have shit luck since you got me as he proctor this year, so as I said, if you want to risk your career, just answer it. My test, my rules. Ibiki said. However, I will give you a way out. You can choose not to take it and try again next year, if you are not confident. Ibiki sent an evil glare to the Chunin candidates. Now, those of you who do not wish to take it, put your hand up and wait for your number to be called. Then you and your team may leave. I won't take it, a leaf ninja said. Standing up, and his team were immediately escorted out of the room. His sentiment was repeated throughout the room. Over the next 5 minutes, a total of 30 more opted not to take the final question, leaving 90 genin remaining. Naruto raised his hand, much to the Rookie Nine's shock. Then he proceeded to slam it down on his desk as he stood up, a look of determination on his face. You think you can scare me? I'd like to see you try to keep me a genin, he shouted. Even if you somehow do, I'll still become Hokage. The boy received smiles from both of his fiancée as they laughed internally at his antics. Haha, I'll give you all one last chance to back out. Your life is depending on this decision, Ibiki said, casting one more wave of fear into the genin. However, Naruto had managed to inspire the entire room and now they had confidence in their eyes. That is an interesting kid. A voice inside a blonde Kumo Kunoichi's head said, why do I feel like I know him from somewhere? I've seen that stubbornness before. I've seen it many times in Master B. The Kunoichi thought back to the voice. We'll have to be sure to find him in the second stage of the test and see what's so interesting about him. I don't think that's it, but that is beside the point. Looks like my little kitten likes a boy. The other voice in her mind replied teasingly. No, I don't. The girl thought. Heh, no one else? Alright then, good decision. You all passed the first exam, Ibiki announced to the room, shocking most of them. I congratulate the 90 of you, the 30 teams that pass. Inside his head, Ibiki was thinking something else. This kid is just like his dad. He was the most inspiring person I knew. He will go very far. What? Enraged voices erupted from all over the room. What do you mean we pass? What about the 10th question? Sakura asked, now confused. You could say that your choice was the 10th question, the man said in a rare smile, though it was more of a smirk. Then what was the point of this entire test? Temari asked, being the second hot-headed kunoichi to lash out. The point? Think about it. The first 9 questions served to test your information-gathering skills. Ibiki explained. This test was designed to put pressure on the entire team as each member would be forced not to mess it up for their team. However, the questions on this test were much too difficult for most genin to answer alone, so everyone came up to the same conclusion. You would have to cheat to score. The whole point of this test was to make you cheat, but without getting caught. A few of the candidates got the purpose right away. Now, mixed into the group, there were a few chunin who had already taken this exam and knew the answers. This was to help you guys out and to give you accurate information. This is because, Ibiki said, removing his bandana, only revealing a bunch of scars covering his entire head. Sometimes, information is more important than life, and on the battlefield people give their lives to acquire such information. Everyone saw the scars and screw holes on Ibiki's head and cringed a little at the image. Is this what life as a ninja is like? Many in the room thought. If the enemy notices you, there is no guarantee the information you obtained will be accurate, Ibiki stated. Remember this, a proper information can be a powerful weapon for you and your comrades. This is why we had you gather information through cheating. This clearly separated those who did and those who did not have the right abilities. Wait, then what about the 10th question? Temari asked, understanding the purpose, just a slightly curious. But the 10th question is the true purpose of this test. The take it or not take it decision. Ibiki paused momentarily. Let's say you become chunin and your mission is to steal an important enemy document. You don't know the number nor the skill of the enemy. Do you accept the mission? Because you don't want to die? Because you don't want your comrades hurt? Can you avoid this dangerous mission? The answer is a no. Ibiki let out a slight grin. Those who aren't willing to put their lives on the line. Those who cling to the uncertain future of, there is always next year, and then walk away from their chance. Those pieces of trash who can only make cowardly choices, don't deserve the right to become chunin. That's how I feel, Ibiki said. You have made it through the entrance of the first test. I wish you guys luck. Hell yeah! Naruto shouted out, again receiving smiles from his fiancée. They weren't the only ones, as the room was full of smiles of those who happily passed. As everyone smiled, a black pack came crashing through the window along with a poster. A shorter lady with violet hair crawled out, wearing a coat and an orange skirt with mesh underneath. This is no time to celebrate. I am Anko Mitarashi, the second exam proctor. Now I want you maggots at the training grounds 44. Ask your sensei where to find it. If you're late, you're disqualified, said Anko before her body flickered away. After a while, the genin gathered in front of a forest which was surrounded by fences, each panel holding a sign saying, "Danger! Keep out," scaring most of them. Welcome to the second stage of these exams. Right now you are standing in front of the training grounds 44. In the Leaf Village, we call this place the Forest of Death, Anko said in a hiss, instilling fear in the hearts of the genin as most of them gulped. Heh! All of you will know why this is called the Forest of Death soon enough. All of you will find out why it is called the Forest of Death soon enough. Naruto mumbled to Hinata, making her giggle at Naruto's mocking of the proctor. Anko did not find this amusing, and in response, she threw a kunai at the boy, causing a shallow cut that bled a little. It's kids like you that are the first to get killed. She licked the blood off the boy's cheeks, earning glares from Hinata and Temari. Kids that are cocky. Before Anko could finish talking, she was interrupted. Here is your kunai? A grass genin said with a hiss. Thanks, but if you ever sneak up on me again, I can guarantee that you will die a slow and painful death. Scaring everyone again, and then she spoke again. Before we begin this test, all of you need to sign these forms. As she finished talking, the forms have been handed out to every genin, possible future chunin. Wait, why do we have to sign these? Questioned a genin from Rain. Because people die in these exams, and without your signature on the form, the responsibility for your death would fall on the leaf, and we don't want that, right? It also helps to prevent wars, said Anko. Now I'm going to explain this test. There are 30 teams. Each team will check into this booth and receive either an earth or a heaven scroll. 15 teams get Earth and 15 get Heaven. In the middle of this forest, there is a tower where you have to bring one Heaven and one Earth scroll to. As she said this, every team glared at each other. Now, this area is a dense forest with a river running through the middle. As I said, the tower is located at the middle of the area, about 10 kilometers from each side. Anko said, holding up a map of the area. Around this perimeter, there are 44 locked gates. This will be considered a survival exercise. You may use any weapons or jutsu to complete the task. The only rule is that you cannot open the scrolls until you enter the tower with both of them. Other than that, there are no rules and killing is allowed. Also, there is a time limit. The test lasts 120 hours or 5 days. If you are not at the tower at the end of the time limit, your team is disqualified. Anko finished the instructions. 5 days? What about food? Yelled Choji. Oh, there is enough food, you just have to find it. Finished Anko. With all of that said, the teams checked in and got their scroll. Then they all lined up at their respective gates. Sasuke, how do you want to play this? Asked Naruto as they ran through the forest. Let's make a camp about a kilometer away from the tower. That way we wait and take the scroll from whoever passes by, and after that, we head directly to the tower, said Sasuke. That sounds good to me, Naruto-kun, Sasuke-kun, said Hinata. They arrived at the spot and quickly set up the camp. Naruto-kun, do you see that? Asked Hinata as she felt something. Naruto activated his Byakugan and nodded. 3 shinobi coming at us fast. Let me see their headbands. Kiri finished the boy. I've been meaning to try out some new earth jutsu. Sasuke smirked. Then they heard a shout. Water style, water needles jutsu. The team heard 3 separate voices say. Hinata quickly used a genjutsu to cover her and her teammates. Looks like we got them, one of them said. Yeah, let's look for the scroll. Oh, I wouldn't do that yet, said Sasuke as the 3-leaf genin jumped out from the trees. Under the genjutsu they moved through the trees, surrounding the unknown shinobi. Water release, water trumpet, Suetun, Mizurappa. The 3 mist ninja yelled after looking at each other. Earth release, earth wall, yelled Sasuke. The water was stopped and dropped to the ground. After this, the earth wall fell. Hinata body flickered into the middle of the 3. You are within my range of divination Doton 8 trigrams. 32 crushing palms. This was the jutsu Hinata had just finished. The beauty of it was the fact that unlike the regular gentle fist, you didn't have to make contact with as many tenketsu because of the earth chakra. Hinata's palms moved as she hit the pathways of the 3 targets. When she was done, her 3 opponents fell and a scroll escaped from their clothes. Nice job, Hina-chan, Naruto said, jumping from the trees, giving Hinata a kiss, making the girl blush. You guys can get all lovey-dovey back at the tower. Let's move out, Sasuke said. They had been out here for 5 hours and the sun was setting down. Kukuku. Sasuke-kun, what's the rush? Asked a grass genin who jumped from a tree. How do you know us? Asked Naruto wearily. This guy isn't a genin, Naruto-kun. He smells of snake. I think this man is Orochimaru, finished Kyubi, making Naruto gasp in shock. Oh, but I make it a point to learn the names of my teammates, students, Naruto-kun, said the grass genin. Orochimaru, whispered Hinata, terrified of the snake man. I don't plan on killing you 3 just yet, so I'll be leaving soon. But before that I will test you, and then I just want to give Sasuke a parting gift. Binding snake jutsu. Hinata and Sasuke were now stuck in a wrapping of snakes. Naruto launched himself toward the snake Sannin, wishing he could have mastered the flying thunder god before the exam. Oh, but Naruto-kun, I was hoping for ninjutsu, not taijutsu, said Orochimaru. Naruto appeared behind Orochimaru as he avoided a punch with substitution. Naruto aimed to kick the man and succeeded only to find a Hibi Bunshin. Kukuku over here. Wind release, great breakthrough, the Sannin said. Fire release. 10,000 fireballs, Naruto countered. The fireballs came out of his mouth and went toward the gust of wind. The attacks cancelled since the wind was stronger. Lightning release. Giant ball of thunder, yelled Naruto. Earth release. Shield of the twin snakes, said Orochimaru. Before Naruto knew it, they were engaged in taijutsu once again. Orochimaru double feinted a punch and kick combination. This was followed by Naruto being kneed in the stomach. Naruto grabbed his stomach and fell. Orochimaru passed him, biting Sasuke. The boy screamed. The snake jutsu released. The boy fell. Looks like the heaven mark, not surprising. Well, goodbye Naruto-kun, said the snake as he shined away before Naruto or Hinata could even react. Naruto saw the gift that was given through the evil sealing method. He was sickened by that man Orochimaru. Baijigen, Naruto yelled as he walked toward Sasuke. He looked at the seal and saw it was lacing Sasuke's chakra with Orochimaru's. He activated his Byakugan no Kitsune and sealed of his pathways around the marks to keep it from spreading. He activated his Baijigen again and placed a purification seal on Sasuke's shoulder. It cleaned away Orochimaru's influence. He thought about it for a while. The Baijigen couldn't remove it because it wasn't really a seal, it was just a chakra storage seal. So if he destroyed the seal, the chakra would flood Sasuke's system. He had to destroy the chakra, and he only knew of one thing that could absorb and destroy chakra. Amaterasu, yelled Naruto after he switched to the UMS. Hino could safely remove the seal. Baijigen, cursed seal of heaven release. The trio ran through the forest. Well, two of them did anyway. Sasuke was slumped over Naruto's shoulder. They heard a voice through the trees. Decapitating airwaves, said the boy in the trees. The duo dodged. 3 people jumped out from the trees. I wouldn't be going anywhere. Orochimaru-sama wants him dead, and I plan to deliver, said the first one. If he remembered, his name was Dosu. I don't have time for you. Shadow clone, Tsukanami, Naruto yelled. This is the world of Tsukanami, and in this world, I control everything. I'm only going to knock you out long enough for us to get to the tower, said Naruto. The world around him was pitch black, and in front of him stood the 3 that had looked into his eyes. He had made it, so they were fighting their precious Lord Orochimaru. Hinata, we need to go, said Naruto as his eyes faded to their normal bright blue. He picked up Sasuke and they were on their way. They opened the door to the tower. They saw the clue above them and opened their 2 scrolls. Congratulations, you made it, said Kakashi. I was hoping you guys would have broken the record set by Team Minato, but I can see something happened, said Kakashi. We were attacked by Orochimaru. He put a curse seal on Sasuke, but Naruto successfully removed it, said Hinata. That statement led to a retelling of the story. They watched the teams come in one by one. Temari's team had already been there before them. Afterwards, on the second day, the Mist, Stone, and Cloud teams came. On the late 4th day, all the other rookie Genin teams came, as well as Kabuto's. The 5th and final day came along with the Sound team, along with the Waterfalls one. The second day had come and Naruto laid in his bed. He was exhausted. Using the Tsukanami on 3 people with an EMS would kill anyone else, but with the UMS it only made you dead tired the next day. Hinata had gone to the hot springs, so he was left in the room by himself. Well, not technically, because a still comatose Sasuke laid in the bed across the room. He heard a knock on the door and said, "Come in," trusting it was someone on Team Baki. I heard what happened, and how could you be so careless? Using that jutsu 3 times? And you also used other C and B and a rank jutsu. A mad Temari yelled at him. She was worried sick after she found out about what happened earlier, just like Naruto would have been if something happened to her. But she thought to herself, was she mad or terrified at losing the boy she loved, the boy who saved her brother? I'm sorry, Temari-chan, I couldn't lose my brother to him. He was silenced when Temari lay down next to him. Curling up to him, she kissed him soundly on the lips, finally relaxing. I'm sorry, I promise I won't die anytime soon. It was strange. If anyone else said this, it would be just a promise, but when Naruto made a contract, it was like he was signing a contract in blood. They kissed again, deeper this time. Once the kiss ended, a single tear fell from Temari's eye. She couldn't lose this boy who she loved. They fell asleep in each other's arms. The timer stopped. The second portion of the exam had concluded. All the candidates who passed the exam were now standing in a large room. On a stage in front of them stood the Hokage, proctor, and the Jounin sensei of each team. First off, congratulations on passing the second stage of the exams. The Hokage announced with a happy smile at Konoha's presence in this stage. Wow, 36 participants out of 90. I was expecting to cut them in half, but I was expecting single digits. Anko thought to herself, worrying about her abilities, but she was satisfied thinking, I guess Abiki was right. There are some outstanding ones in this group. The candidates looked around to see who else was there. Team Sound looked the worst, having just arrived. If one looked close enough, they could see the wear on the teams who came on the fourth day. Your team looks pretty good, Kakashi Guy said to his eternal rival. But as long as my team is around, don't expect them to get any farther. Now, it's all about real ability. Well, with youth, there are sweet times and there are sour times, at Kakashi. Ha! Said Kakashi, completely ignoring anything Guy had just said. Oh, Guy? You said something? He said aloud, thinking about his students' time to drop the act, guys. Show them what you can really do. There were 5 people who knew the true strength of Team Dojutsu: Hayashi Jiraiya, Kakashi, Fugaku, Hiruzen. They hid Hinata's Byakugan, and Naruto only used his eyes outside the village. Sasuke also used Genjutsu, but this would all change soon enough. Guy turned away and tensed up, clutching a fist. Not bad, Kakashi. Your coolness is the bane of my youthfulness. The Jounin took a look at their students. Baki looked at his team of Sand Ninja and noticed that once again, Gaara was unscathed. Kurenai noted that her team looked shaken by something. Guy admired the youthfulness of his team. Kakashi, on the other hand, just gave his team the usual smile and wave. To be honest, he had never imagined that his team would not made it this far. No wonder they nominated them, the Hokage thought to himself, looking over the rookies. For all of them to make it is surprising to say at the least. Hokage-sama will now explain the true meaning of the exams and the third test, Anko announced to everyone. Please listen carefully. The true purpose of these exams, the Hokage said. Think about it, why do we have many different countries here if each village could hold their own Chunin exams for their own ninja? The Hokage questioned the present genin. Everyone took a few moments to think about what the Hokage was saying. To promote friendship between countries? The Hokage asked. The true meaning of the Chunin exams is not to be confused. This is a competition not of genin. It is a competition of nations. This is a controlled replacement of war. He received many startled looks from the crowd. Hokage-sama, what do you mean, war? Tenten asked the Konoha's leader. If you go back in time, current allies were once enemies who fought each other for control. The Hokage explained. In order to prevent fighting, this is the stage these countries chose to do battle on. That is the purpose of these exams. But isn't this exam only to select people who are good enough to become Chunin? Sakura asked dumbly. It is a fact that this exam decides who has what it takes to become Chunin, the Hokage explained. But this exam has another side, where each country's shinobi risk their own life to protect their land's prestige, honor, and place among the nations. There will be leaders and influential individuals watching the third exam. Many of them come from countries that are not home to ninja villages and are clients of the hidden villages. If the strength of a country is clear in these exams, that country will receive more clients, and if seen as weak, they will lose them. Not to mention, it will send a message to others that our village has much power. A country cannot be strong if it has a weak village. A village cannot be strong if its ninja are weak. The true strength of a ninja is born only through mortal battles, but war is not something that can be taken lightly, and so we have the Chunin exams. Everyone, I am, Hey-8 Gecko the proctor, for the third exam. Before we can begin, The third round we must hold a preliminary, to decide, who gets to participate in the main event, said the man awaiting the impending backlash from his statement. Preliminary, many of the genin shouted. What do you mean? We worked hard, why can't we all participate? Sakura asked. Because the first KOF and second tests may have been too easy this year. There are KOF 11 teams left, Hayate said. According KOF to the rules, KOF, we may have a preliminary to reduce KOF, the number of participants for the third test. As Hokage-sama said, KOF, there are KOF, many important individuals, and time is important to someone like a daimyo. KOF. Now that that is said, if there is anyone who feels like they cannot participate in a preliminary match, KOF. Now, please step forward now and you will be removed. The man finished. I'm going to quit, Kabuto said. One of Kabuto's teammates opted to do the same. 2 of the waterfall ninja did as well. From the waterfall village, only a girl with mint green hair remained. Shouldn't we remove Uchiha due to the curse mark? Anko whispered to the Hokage. I don't think that will be needed, Kakashi said, joining the conversation. He had his curse mark removed by Naruto. What? Said Anko in shock. She could be rid of the accursed seal once and for all. He'll remove yours later, was all Kakashi said to this. Neji turned to his cousin. Hinata, you should also back out. I must admit that I am impressed you made it this far. But if you continue, something bad will surely happen to you, said Neji. Naruto, who was within hearing distance of this, was a little enraged by Neji's unexplained behavior towards Hinata. Hayate walked forward. The first fight will be Uchiha Naruto Namake's Naruto 12. Well, I am eternally sorry for the lateness and probably subpar quality of this chapter. School just started and I am a 10th grader, taking 1 IB class and 4 AP classes, so fanfiction can't come first. However, I can promise this. I will finish this story. Anyway, this chapter will not have all the fights and there is a reason they meet. Well, you'll see in this chapter. To the reviews. Taitaken. The super reviewer returns again. Okay, so Yujito didn't catch up to Naruto because of what happened in the forest. I did that also so they wouldn't get to know each other before a certain future event. I still wanted to show her interest though. Oh, and she is 15 for anybody wondering. Yeah, I needed the Narutima moment and she did find out from Hinata, but I saw it as unimportant. I hope you aren't too disappointed in the fight. I would hate to lose my best reviewer. Thanks, I guess. Darkness Shadow. Thanks for the review. You are correct about current members. I won't spoil the other ones since they will all be revealed by chapter 7 or maybe 8. There is one older girl that I am adding for sure. Cook 563. Thanks for the review and to your comment. Thanks. Thanks. Thanks, and again I am sorry for not updating soon. Thanks for the 2 who reviewed about the harems, but I can't comment cause that would give away the big surprise. Disclaimer. I, a fanfiction writer Namake's Naruto 12, am not, I repeat, am not the owner of the original manga Naruto. I am not the owner of the anime Naruto. The rights of ownership of the Naruto universe, including concepts and characters, are solely property of Masashi Kishimoto. I do, however, own all of my OCs and original jutsu, and if you would like to use them, I ask you let me know and possibly credit me. Thank you. Unknown place. In a cave, 10 figures stood in the shadows in silence. They all wore black cloaks with red clouds on them. We will begin the hunt for the Biju. We shouldn't have much of a problem with them, maybe except for Uzumaki Naruto because of his brother and girlfriend. But there is one person who they can't fight. Isn't that right, Itachi? Said the figure in the darkness. Of course, Leader-sama, said Itachi with an emotionless face. We move out in 2 months. The mysterious figure ordered. In the Chunin exam tower. The tower that served as the ending point of the second part of the Chunin exams was filled to the brim. On the balcony to the right sat the Shinobi Council of Konohagakure. They usually didn't attend preliminaries, but this was a special case, since the heirs to most of Konoha's major clans were participating. On the left side stood the teams and their Jounin sensei. The eyes in the arena were glued to the board waiting for the names of the fighters to appear. The first match of the preliminary round of the Chunin selection exams is Neji Hyuga versus Hinata Hyuga, said Hayate, the referee for this part of the exam. Good luck, Hinata-chan. But I know you don't need it to beat Niji-san. Naruto hugged Hinata and let her go down the stairs to face her opponent. The contestants said nothing to those around them. The two of them stood before each other. The genius before the weak heiress, how fitting. But I suggest you to quit, so I won't embarrass you in front of your father and boyfriend, Niji said coldly. You have no idea how wrong you are, Niji-san, said Hinata. Hayashi was conflicted. The son of his brother hated the main branch and his cousin, but all of his daughters wanted to do was to help him. He was saddened at the fact that his nephew hated him along with the main family, but he was also proud of his daughters for wanting to end the family's disputes. Why did you have to go, Hisashi Hitomi? The man thought. Begin, shouted Hayate.
Byakugan no Kitsune,
said the two Hyuga. Niji stared in shock as he saw Hinata's eyes after she released the Jinjutsu. You see, Niji-san, this is the new and probably the most powerful Byakugan there is. I'm sorry, as I never wanted to hurt you, nor I never wanted to see you sealed. All I want is you and all the branch members to be free. Just because that seal was put on you, it doesn't give you the right to hate me, said Hinata. You think your bastard Byakugan is better than the pure Byakugan? I will show you the truth, said Niji. This is the true power of the Byakugan, you failure. He spat. The two engaged in combat, and it soon became clear that in Juken in its purest form, Hinata was slightly behind. An heiress that can't master the style, why don't I beat you at your own main branch games? Said Niji as he got into the 8 trigram stance. No genin alive can beat Niji when he uses this thought 10-10. You are within my range of divination. 8 trigrams 64 palms, yelled Niji. Protection of the 8 trigrams 64 palms, said Hinata. Hayashi looked on in awe at Niji. He had mastered the technique without any help from the main branch. He looked on in awe at Hinata too, as she had developed the defense for one of the most powerful Hyuga styles. He hardly ever worked with her. Clearing his thoughts, he stared at the fight, where Hinata focused on new moves for the 8 trigrams. The two of them met, with Hinata blocking every single one of Niji's 64 palms. Impossible, no one can beat Niji, thought a shocked 10-10. Niji, I don't want to do this, you should forfeit now, said Hinata. What are you going to do, failure? Even if you can defend, you still can't win. Or are you going to use the seal on me? Said a bitter Niji. I never even learned how to Niji-san. Raiton 8 trigrams, 32 pulses, said Hinata. Niji tried to block, but every time he did, he was hurt by the Raiton chakra. That shocked him, slowing his reactions. In the end, he laid paralyzed on the floor. Hayashi was still in shock as his daughter had greatly improved on the 32 palms, and it now caused more damage to the person. Niji fell to the floor. How is this possible? Asked Niji before he passed out. Tenten looked on in the same shock. Guy also looked at Kakashi. Niji, I never wanted to hurt you. I love you, as you are my cousin, and one day I hope you will understand that, said Hinata. She didn't use the full power of the attack, knowing it could seriously harm her cousin. Winner, Hinata Hyuga, said Hayate as she went up to the balcony and Niji was carried away. The crowd cheered for Hinata, Naruto more than the others. Then once the crowd settled down, the names on the screen began cycling again, until they reached a stop. Hyuga-sama, I was unaware of this new dojutsu. Tell me, is it of the same origin as the Baijigen? Asked Shibi. Ah yes, and as for its abilities, Aburame-sama, it will be discussed in the council meeting after this, said Hayashi. The next match, Omoi vs. Choji, went by fairly quickly. Omoi was a ninjutsu specialist and his taijutsu was fairly good, so it was quite easy for him to use his agility to tire out Choji. The third match is Akatsuchi vs. Shino. Begin, said Hayate. Earth Cuff's jutsu, said Akatsuchi, the jutsu causing Shino to be stuck in place. This was purely a game of time, as Akatsuchi had fairly large chakra reserves and Shino knew it would take a while to suck away his reserves. Akatsuchi, on the other hand, was fighting to complete his most powerful jutsu. Double Earth Dragon bullets, said Akatsuchi, and the dragon took form and began its journey toward Shino. It was close, and Shino knew he couldn't dodge it or make a bug clone. Akatsuchi's Earth Dragon was getting closer to Shino, but then the dragon began to crumble as Akatsuchi's chakra was drained. As Akatsuchi fell to the ground, exhausted, a ball of dust hit Shino. Aburame Shino is the winner, said Hayate as another participant was sent to the medical ward for treatment. Takatsuchi forfeited the match immediately after Fu used bug bite on him. In truth, he was out of his league, being the weakest genin in IWA who made it this far only because of his team. Sakura Haruno versus Yamanaka Ino. The two girls made their way to the floor. Ino Pig, I'm going to kick your ass and then Sasuke-kun will be all mine, said Sakura while Ino giggled. What? Ino Pig, you think you can beat me? Questioned an angry Sakura, upset at being laughed at. Sakura, Sasuke-kun and I actually really care about each other. So even if by some kami-given miracle you manage to win, he and I would still be together, said Ino in an especially uncaring tone that served only to further aggravate Sakura. You stupid bitch, screeched Sakura. So how about we end this talking and get on with the fight? Begin. Just as Hayate said this, Sakura ran forward, punching Ino to the ground. Ha! Take that, Ino Pig. Sasuke-kun is mine, yelled Sakura. All of the teams in the stands, including a masked Orochimaru and the Hokage, deadpanned. Did you teach her anything, Kurenai-san? Asked Kakashi. My student was caught in a simple genjutsu, mumbled a distraught Kurenai. Ino stood with a kunai to Sakura's back. Even she couldn't believe Sakura had fallen for something so simple. The winner is Ino Yamanaka, said Hayate, and then Sakura began screaming and yelling about how she should have won until Kurenai hit one of her pressure points, knocking her out. There was a loud mumble of "thank Kami" from the rest of the competitors. The next match is Gaara versus Dosu, said Hayate. The competitors made their way to the floor, and since they were both silent, Hayate continued with begin. Decapitating airwaves, said Dosu, quickly launching his attack. The airwaves met only a wall of sand. Dosu ran up to the wall and said Kayamaizen, but the wall only rippled. Your attacks are useless, said Gaara on top of the wall. Suddenly 2 arms came out from the sand, grabbing Dosu. Proctor, I would prefer not to crush him, said a calm Gaara. Winner Sabuku no Gaara, the proctor said. After that, when the ring was being cleaned, Naruto saw his name pop up on the board. Naruto Uzumaki versus Kiba Inuzuka. In the stands, I must say I am disappointed. I was hoping to see Naruto-san against one of the Kazekage's children or perhaps an Oto Nin, said Shibi. He heard Tsum growl. My son won't go down easy, she growled at him. Hayashi and the Hokage smirked though, knowing this would not be a battle of the ages. I found out you asked out my sister, and for that, I'm going to kill you, and once that's done, Hinata-chan will be mine, Kiba growled, as Akamaru nodded. Well, Kiba-san, what happens between your sister and I is none of your concern. I will ease your displeasure though. Know this, I will protect Hana because I see her becoming one of my most precious people, said Naruto. Enough talking, begin the fight, said Kiba in a lower growl. Begin, said Hayate. I know how I'll beat you easily, said Naruto as he threw 2 scrolls onto the floor. Everyone now looked shocked. The scrolls opened and tar came pouring out of them. It was a Kekii Toda that no one in the village had ever seen or heard of. It was made by combining fire, water, and earth. I knew that one day I may have to fight your mother for Hana-chan's hand in marriage, so I began developing tar style for this purpose. It renders taijutsu ineffective, but it also doesn't directly harm the opponent, said Naruto. Kiba and Akamaru were using chakra to stand on the wall, but the floor of the arena was covered in tar. Katsuga yelled Kiba as he barreled towards Naruto. Tar release. Hand of the Abyss, said Naruto. Kiba, who was halfway towards Naruto, suddenly crashed into a hand that instantly closed, trapping Kiba and Akamaru. Kiba is trapped and unable to continue. Naruto is the winner, said Hayate. Few in art, reseal, said Naruto, and with a bright white glow, the tar disappeared, leaving groaning Kiba on the floor, lying next to Akamaru. The matches kept going, not many really interested Naruto. He already knew what he was going to be doing for training. He did, however, keep his eyes open, looking for Kekkei Genkai. After a moment, he then heard a very familiar name called. Sasuke Uchiha versus Zaku, said Hayate. The two just glared at each other, and Hayate continued, seeing they were both ready. Begin. I heard you tried to hurt my brother and his fiancée in the forest, said Sasuke, glaring as he dodged Zaku's pathetic attempts at taijutsu. Why does that matter? Asked Zaku in a dead voice, still terrified from his previous ordeal. Well, nobody will ever hurt my precious people, and I know the best way to make it so you will never even try to hurt someone again. You know that technique Naruto used? Well, he isn't even a true master. Tsukuyomi. They appeared in the black world. For 72 hours outside or 700 years in here, there are like 259,000 seconds in 72 hours. 1 second is equal to 1 day, and your punishment is to relive the memories of every person you have hurt, but from their perspective. Said Sasuke. He returned to the real world and left Zaku to live the next 72 hours and 59 minutes of his punishment. Sasuke Uchiha is the winner, said Hayate as Zaku collapsed. The rest of the matches were inconsequential and Naruto didn't even bother watching them. Now all of the winners will draw a number to determine the matches of the next round. The winners made a line and drew the small papers. Now please, one at a time, announce your numbers. Enko hissed. 1, said Naruto. 10, Yujito spoke quietly. 8, Kin said. 4, said Utakata. 2, Kuratsuchi told them. 3, said Gaara. 11, Fumambold. Troublesome, 9, said Shikamaru. 5, smirked Sasuke. 7, smiled Ino, glad she wasn't fighting Sasuke. 6, frowned Hinata. She would have to fight one of her best friends. 12, finished Omoi. The preliminary matches are Naruto versus Kuratsuchi, Gaara versus Utakata, Sasuke versus Hinata, Ino versus Kin, Shikamaru versus Yujito, Fu versus Omoi. You have 1 month to prepare. Dismissed, said Enko. Konoha Council Room. Okay, this meeting is about the results of the preliminary matches as well as the possible invasion. The Hokage said, we will first discuss the invasion and then some aspects of the preliminaries, and then the civilian council will be brought in, said the Hokage. Well, Sensei, I unfortunately have no new details about the invasion plan, so we will only be able to discuss our defensive plan, said the Sannin. Alright, then this is my plan. 50% of each clan will stay and guard their compounds, while the rest of the clan will be given a specific job. The Naras, Yamanakas, and the Akimichis will guard the stadium after the fight begins. The Hyuga will assist them somewhat, but will then go into the village and attack those who have broken through the perimeter defenses. Those will be handled by clanless shinobi, Sasuke-kun, Jiraiya-kun, as well as the Aburame. The Umbu will assist the Hyuga and cover the tower. Naruto-kun and I will be responsible for dealing with Yagura and Orochimaru. Excuse me, Hokage-sama, but I have 2 concerns, said Hayashi. He received a nod. Well, I understand Naruto's strength, but do you really think he can defeat the Mizukage? Also, who will be guarding the Uchiha and Uzumaki compounds? Questioned the Hyuga head, as he was concerned for the boy who he thought of as a nephew. Hokage-sama, if I may? Asked Naruto. He too received a nod. Hayashijizan, you know that one of my dojutsu's ability is that of sealing. I will be able to seal away Yagura's demon. As for the compound, the Kazekage and his children will be guarding them. This statement received raised eyebrows. He said something along the lines of, I won't have the home of my daughter's future husband destroyed. Naruto clarified. Fine, now let us move on to the preliminaries. said the Hokage. Well, I believe that we have a good chance of winning, said Shibi. I believe so as well, but I know Sasuke, Hinata, and I will have a hard time dealing with Yujito ni, Utakata of Kiri, Han of IWA, Fu of Taki, and Gaara of course. Shikaku-san, Shibi-san, I believe you should train your sons very hard. Shikamaru needs to increase his reserves, and I think Shino should work on seals, since the Jinchuriki's reserves will be too large for his bugs, unless he learns some chakra restriction seals, said Naruto, who received nods. Okay, let us see what it is the civilians want, said the Hokage. The Anbu at the door nodded and let them in. They proceeded to take their seats. Hokage-sama, we request the cancellation of the Chunin exams as well as our alliance with Suna, said Hamaru and Koharu in unison. Explain, was all the Hokage said as the Shinobi Council picked up their jaws off the floor. Well, we believe that there are several Jinchuriki other than Kyuubi competing in the exams, including the Kazekage's son, said Koharu. Okay, and? Questioned Shikaku lazily. We will not have 5 demons running around Konoha, yelled one of the councilmen. I would like to know where you got your hands on this information, said Sasuke. That is simple, answered Haruno. My daughter heard a conversation between Ichibi, Kyuubi, and the Rokubi from Kiri. My village will crush Suna and Konoha, said Utakata. Gaara growled in response. Do you believe your one tail scares the 6 tails? Asked Utakata just as Gaara was about to begin. No, but I do believe that it fears 9, and before you say anything about 5, I'm sure 2 over there would happily help Gaara. We refuse to ally ourselves with Suna and the Ichibi, and we don't want the 6 and 5 in our village, said Haruno. If you ever refer to Gaara as Ichibi again, I will kill you, said Naruto in a growl. Anbu, arrest him, said Koharu. The guards of the elder went to arrest the Naruto. Sasuke sent 2 kunai into the Anbu's legs. As an Anbu, you take orders from your captain or the Hokage, said Sasuke coldly as the civilians shook off their shock. How correct you are. Anbu, arrest Koharu and those Anbu, said the Anbu commander. This meeting is dismissed. Team myth change and come back, said the Hokage. 10 minutes later, Hokage's office. The Hokage stared in front of him, waiting for the 2 members of Team Myth. The 2 Anbu shunshined in, using the blaze and ice versions of the jutsu. Good to see you out of that stuffy meeting, Naruto, Sasuke, said the Hokage. What did you want to see us for, Hokage Ajisen? Asked Toad, aka Naruto. Well, Naruto, it seems you and your brother made it into Ames and Iwa's bingo book a couple of missions ago, said the Hokage as he showed them the page. Name, Uchiha Uzumaki Naruto. Alias, Konoha's limitless bloodline. Rank, B rank genin. Gender male. Date of birth, October 10th. Age 13. Height, 5 feet 5 inches. Weight, 125 pounds. Hair color, blonde. Eye color, blue/changes with dojutsu. Affiliation, Konohagakure. Summons Toad. Bloodlines, unknown dojutsu. Possible ice, Sharingan, crystal, Byakugan. Known affinities, wind, water, fire, possibly others. Personal note, much is unknown. There are reports of the ability to copy bloodlines. Adoptive brother of Konoha's crow Itachi Uchiha, as well as the last Uchiha Sasuke Uchiha. Note of engagement. Use extreme caution when engaging in ninjutsu battle or taijutsu battle. He appears impervious to genjutsu. Do not show him your bloodline. Approach only with superior numbers. Teacher is Sharingan no Kakashi. Flee on sight when with Sasuke Uchiha, Hinata Hyuga and Hatake Kakashi. Name, Uchiha Sasuke. Alias, the last Uchiha. Rank, B rank genin. Gender male. Date of birth, July 23rd. Age 13. Height, 5 feet 6 inches. Weight, 120 pounds. Hair color, black. Eye color, black/changes with Sharingan. Affiliation, Konoha. Summons, unknown, possibly a crow. Bloodlines, Sharingan. Known affinities, wind, earth, fire, possibly others. Personal note, much is unknown. There are reports of a higher-level Sharingan. Brother of Konoha's crow Itachi Uchiha, as well as adopted brother of Konoha's limitless bloodline Uzumaki Uchiha Naruto. Note of engagement. Use extreme caution when engaging Sasuke in ninjutsu battle or taijutsu battle. He appears impervious to genjutsu. Do not show him secret jutsu. Approach only with superior numbers. Teacher is Sharingan no Kakashi. Flee on sight when with Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha, Hinata Hyuga and Hatake Kakashi. The Hokage flipped the book page. You are also the first team to appear with an SS ranking as a team since Ino Shikacho, and that was when they were Jounin. If you guys keep improving like this, you will be called the Neo Sannin, he said, showing them the last book page. Name, Konoha Genin Team 7. Uchiha Uzumaki Naruto. Uchiha Sasuke. Hyuga Hinata. Hatake Kakashi. Alias, Team Dojutsu. Konoha's limitless bloodline. The last Uchiha. None.
Sharingan no Kakashi.
Rank, SS rank Genin Team. Gender, 3 males 1 female. Time since creation 6 months. Age, 13 Genin, 27 Sensei. Height, -5 feet 5 inches. -5 feet 6 inches. -5 feet 4 inches. -5 feet 9 inches. Weight, -125 pounds. -120 pounds. -115 pounds. -148 pounds. Affiliation, Konoha. Summons, toad, possibly crow, none, dog. Bloodlines, unknown dojutsu, possible ice, Sharingan, crystal, Byakugan, Sharingan, Byakugan, Sharingan. Known affinities, wind, earth, fire, water, and lightning. Personal note, great teamwork. Note of engagement, flee on sight. I just wanted to keep you all updated. The real reason I called you both here as Umbu is that I have a mission for you, said the Hokage. There will be injuries during the Chunin exams and the event afterwards, so I want you two to bring back Tsunade. She will also become the Godame Hokage. You have 3 weeks. The other reason I am sending you is that I don't want anyone spying on your training this month. Say your goodbyes, you leave in an hour, said the Hokage. He paused to make sure he didn't forget anything, then said, "Oh, I almost forgot. We have found that there is a world tournament in poker and sake drinking contest in Edo Castle next week, so you'll probably want to go there," said the Hokage. The boys left and met at the gates an hour later. "You ready?" asked Toad. They would wear the mask till they were a good way away from the village. "Yes," said Hawk. With that, they started running, and when they made it to the point, they took off their masks. They safely made their way back to the village and gave their report. Naruto walked out of the village. He wore his usual attire. He had requested access to his father's old training ground. The training ground had seen the creation of the Harishin as well as the Rasengan, and now it would see the creation of the 5 perfect elemental Rasengan, or at least as many as he could make in a month. He would have normally trained in the Uchiha forest, but there were too many distractions, namely his 2 beautiful fiancées. Naruto sprinted to the training ground, wearing gravity seals at 10 times normal gravity. He decided that this would be the best physical exercise for him. He arrived. The place was 2 miles outside Konoha, and it was a simple log cabin on the outside. He went inside the cabin and proceeded to the back door, where he cut his finger, smearing his blood on the knob before slowly opening the door. It opened into a stairway, which led to a simple wooden door. He opened it and nearly collapsed as he entered. He saw the sides of the room had seals, gravity and chakra seals. Basically, the place was designed so it put your body in a chakra-depleted and exhausted state. It did this so you had to have perfect chakra control to perform high-level jutsu. Naruto stood and 100 clones poofed into existence around him. Tito-kan, alright, so I really don't know how to reply to that, but for the sake of justifying the numbers, which I admittedly screwed the fuck up, let's just say there are a couple of double KOs. I thought I had explained it, but rereading I didn't, so Naruto lowered the strength after he walked in, and then throughout the training he gradually raised the strength. As for the Tsukuyomi, Itachi always makes the effort to stay inside his Tsukuyomi. Sasuke doesn't, so I figured that would make up for the discrepancy. He is probably still overpowered though. LOL on Sakura's mom. Well, as you will read the finals well. As for the last part, 1 gave each individual an A, B ranking plus Kakashi A rank, so A*4 plus decent teamwork equals SS. Thank you for the review. Yugi Uzumaki and Naruto Moto Yu-Gi-Oh! Naruto crossover. I should write one of those. Anyway, thank you. Dage. Thank you, and I always try to update whenever I can. Cook 563. Thank you, thank you. But holy shit, I am a insert degrading comment that probably would have offended someone here. So anyway, I think I cut a piece of the story. However, if I did, I'm almost glad because I found a better way to write that. So assume they don't find Tsunade. Amber 16, thank you. Vermiculous Umber Chorus, thank you. Sadie 321, let me make the typical argument for harems. They hold the typical significance as a symbol of feudal Japanese culture where leaders would take concubines. Furthermore, in this particular situation, Naruto loving all the girls. It would be hard on him and the girls. Also, what happens to the girls that he doesn't pick if I follow your suggestion? Anyway, thank you for the review. Darkness Shadow, thanks, and always feel free to ask. Yes, thank you, and again thank you. Joe. Thank you very much, kind sir. Unless you are a woman, in which case thank you, kind lady.
Sapfui, muchos gracias.
King Robert 84. Let the update begin. 121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212121212////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////// Well, most of it was. The crowds at the stadium cheered and yelled. Everyone in the village was in attendance, from academy students to umbu to civilian. The crowds quieted down as the line of contestants made their way in the arena. The Hokage stood up. Konoha, today I have several things to announce to you today. This will be my last day as the Hokage. Tsunade Senju will be taking my place, said the aging man. The announcement was met with the cheers of civilians and ninja. They were sad that the Kami no Shinobi was stepping down, but who better to replace him than the granddaughter of the Shodame? The last announcement will be a little harder for you to understand. I will be announcing the name of the son of the Yondaime Hokage, said Hiruzen. At this many faces scowled, those of the Tsuchikage and the Reikage. Also many people smiled, the Yondaime Kazekage, who was a friend of the fourth, and also the Fire Lord, who was happy to show his nation was more powerful than the rest. The son of the Yondaime is Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. The Tsuchikage's glare deepened. That boy was already in his bingo book for killing his elimination squad team. Unfortunately, he would have to wait for the invasion to kill the boy. Well, that is all for now. You may begin, Hayate, said the Hokage, quieting the booing/cheering crowd. Most of the booing was civilian and most of the cheering was from ninja. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Since all the competitors are here, we will begin the Chunin exams. Now will all the competitors other than Naruto and Kuratsuchi please leave the arena, said Hayate. The other competitors left and Naruto and Kuratsuchi stood across from each other, the latter glaring. You know we could be friends, said Naruto calmly, ignoring the glare. Like I could be friends with the evil son of the man who killed my uncle, said Kuratsuchi. Proctor, begin the match. Hajime, said Hayate. Kuratsuchi glared at Naruto, but his eyes flickered. Tsukuyami, said Naruto. In the Tsukuyami world. Where am I, you evil bastard? Yelled Kuratsuchi. You are in the world of Tsukuyomi. I have something I want to ask you and don't think about fighting because I am the god of this world," said Naruto. "Fine, I'll answer your damn question," said Kuratsuchi. "Why do you hate me? I understand my father killed your uncle, though that would have been before you were born. Also, as a competent ninja you have most likely killed for your village," said Naruto. He really did wonder she seemed like a nice enough person, and she was kin-off pretty. "Oh, looks like Naruto-kun likes an IWA girl," thought Kyubi. "No, I don't, Kyubi-sama," thought Naruto, blushing. "He read me like an open book. I know the Yellow Flash killed because there was a war. Hell, I really don't even care about my uncle's death. I never even knew him," Kuratsuchi thought. "Why do you care?" she said, keeping with her tough exterior, though her voice shook slightly. "I would really like it if you could just answer me," said Naruto, kindly smiling. "Fine, though I don't know why I am doing this. You see, you are right, I could care less about my uncle's death. My father, though, took it to heart. My mother died when I was born and my father could care less, he just wanted to see the destruction of the leaf. I don't hate your father, I really hate mine." The girl finished quietly with a tear in her eye, but she would never let it fall. "I'm sorry. I know we can't really understand each other's pain, but I think we can help make each other's pain go away. So, how about we go out on a date?" said Naruto. Kuratsuchi's eyes widened in thought. "I have never gone out with a boy before. And he is handsome, and if my father doesn't care about me, I will find one who does. Wow, I never thought I would be accepting a date with Naruto Namikaze of all people. Wait, the invasion, should I tell him? I don't know. You know what, screw it, my grandfather uses me as a pawn, and for my father I'm a knight meant only to destroy the hidden leaf. This boy, though, acts like he will care about me. Wow, I feel as if I've been thinking for hours, but it couldn't be. Well, Naruto-kun, I think I would like that, though I have to ask, how long have we been in here?" asked Kuratsuchi. Naruto's eyes widened at the use of the suffix, but went with it. "Well, Kuro-chan, in the real world it has been less than a minute, but it has been almost a day in here," he responded with a raised eyebrows. "Naruto-kun, I have to tell you that there is an invasion," she began but was stopped. "I know, Kuro-chan, but I see you really care for telling me. Thank you," he said, and the world went black. As they returned, Kuratsuchi began to fall forward, but Naruto caught her. "Winner Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki," said Hayate. Naruto shunshined to the competitor's box and lay Kuratsuchi down gently. Sasuke looked at him with a puzzled expression. Hinata gave him a playful glare. Naruto summoned a frog to send to the newly gathered info to the Hokage. In the Kage box, Hiruzen's eyes widened. He knew that this would strain their forces more, but was content that Naruto could handle both of the Kage if he got through with Yagura quick enough. "I don't know what happened. My granddaughter may need to be removed from the program for being defeated so quickly," said the old man angrily. "I wouldn't. That jutsu is hard to escape even for me, and I know Naruto is more than Chunin material, so there will be no need to further discuss his promotion. I am also sorry about your Jinchuriki Mizukage-dano, but he is disqualified as we were not notified. We will skip to the next match." The Mizukage growled, but could not risk being figured out. "Utakata is disqualified. Gaara is the winner," said Hayate, to the boo of the crowd and a growl from Utakata. "The next match is between Hinata of the Hyuga clan and Sasuke of the Uchiha clan," said Hayate. The crowd was in awe of the battle that would take place in front of them. They cheered loudly for the spectacle that was about to take place, until they all fell silent. The invasion begun. "Thank Kami-sama, I was worried we would have to fight. But let's go handle the invasion forces," Hinata said, and they both went to do their duty. Kage box. Everyone was gone from the Kage box except 5. The fire, lightning, stone, and water shadow stood with another. The snake Sannin. "Well, Reikage, I am sorry to involve you in this dispute, but look at this as a step into that alliance we were speaking about. Though I ask you to protect the stadium," the Sandame said. The Reikage humphed and disappeared. Suddenly a barrier was raised. "Kukuku!" Sensei, there is no way you can take all three of us, and this barrier will keep away whatever help you thought you had, said the chuckling snake Sannin. So you thought, the Hokage said as he threw a kunai with 3 prongs. The Tsuchikage and Orochimaru looked like they saw a ghost. Naruto appeared, and before he could said anything else activated his eyes and looked at Yagura. Demonic release, demonic capturing, Naruto said. Yagura Furs screamed in pain as the Isobo appeared paralyzed. Who are you and who told you of this jutsu, mortal? The Isobo asked. Isobo-sama, Kyubi told me of it. I am her Jinchuriki. I am sorry for this, Isobo-sama. I must seal you again, but I will talk to you still. I will seal you into the Shodame Uzukage's blade. See you later, Isobo-sama. Glass 11 trigrams seal. Naruto said, finally sticking out his blade. Isobo and Yagura vanished. The others on the roof were shocked as the blade changed. It became covered in a gray and purple seal matrix. It now radiated a gray aura. So your eyes let you seal a demon. Big whoop, you can't seal me and I doubt you can defeat me, said the Tsuchikage. You have no idea who you are dealing with, said Naruto. Let us begin, followed up Inoki. They engaged in a taijutsu battle. This was odd for Inoki, who usually focused on ninjutsu. Turned out that this was the biggest mistake he could make. Sometime during the match Naruto had marked him with the seal.
Particle style, atomique destruction jutsu Yeldonoki.
Knew, Naruto yelled. He knew he couldn't stop it. All that was left was a pile of dust. Tsuchikage, I thought I made it very clear that I was going to be the one to kill that damnable Hokage. Orochimaru stated in a bitter, angry tone. I will kill you all. There was a whisper. I will kill you all, yelled a demon. The voice was so cold. Orochimaru had never been more afraid, not even as Hanzo held him against the wall, when he was prepared to die. Orochimaru and the Tsuchikage turned to see the wielder of the voice. They saw nothing. By the time they finished turning, they were dead. Their bodies lay disintegrating on the floor. Naruto had even covered in pure malice, hate and loathing. He had been captured by his rage, but now he seemed to be regaining consciousness as he fell to the ground out of utter exhaustion. Naruto blinked once and the brightness overwhelmed his eyes. He then opened his eyes fully. They took a little while to adjust to the glare. He had found the Baijigen made him more sensitive to light. What happened? Asked Naruto. Temari, Kuratsuchi, Hinata, Sasuke and Jiraiya all bounded up. The girls all hugged him one at a time. The Sasuke and Jiraiya just looked at their brother/godson. Well, Naruto-chan, yesterday when you battled the Tsuchikage and Orochimaru, you killed them both, Jiraiya began. Naruto glanced at a visibly shaken Kuratsuchi. She really did love her grandfather. After that, the Raikage brought you here. Orochimaru's forces were made aware of his death and fled. The same with IWA except for a certain missing nin. Sasuke and Hinata helped hold off IWA to that point, and I did the same with Odo. Finished the Sannin. As for what happened in the council meeting, basically Kuratsuchi has been given a full pardon and is now a citizen of Konoha, but not yet a kunoichi. Hayashi-sama has been made the temporary Hokage. Lastly, well, Team Myth was assigned to retrieve Kura Uzumaki. She is to be the next Hokage, Sasuke said, lowering his voice during the last sentence. They leave a week from now. Jiraiya-sensei, would you care to explain? Asked Naruto in a slightly angry voice. Look, kid. I really had no idea she was alive. Apparently the council sent her into hiding.
I'm sorry, Naruto.
Jiraiya said sadly. Naruto also had a look of sadness on his face. He hadn't meant to be angry with his godfather/sensei. I'm sorry, sensei, began Naruto in an attempt to apologize. Keep the mushy stuff to yourself, Naruto-chan. I'll be going. Seems your girlfriends and brother would like to speak with you. As soon as he finished, the great sage disappeared. Naruto Baka, you could have died, the girls said, sharing the sentiment. They each never wanted to lose Naruto, and the boy was berated, but waited upon until a week later. 1 week later. Toad and Hawk moved swiftly. They had but 2 days to complete this S-rank mission. The trees moved quickly, becoming green and brown blobs. The tree became rock, they had named it. Apparently Kara was in the Fire Mountains, a mountain range named after the country and the veins of rubies that run through it. The duo entered the cave. They saw a shadow, then a blade. Hawk turned to see it a millimeter away from Toad's neck. Toad poofed, as did Hawk, and Kara found herself surrounded by clones. "Kara Uzumaki," said Toad with some bitterness. "You are hereby summoned by the temporary Hokage and joint council of the Konoha." The boy went on. "What do they want?" asked Kara. "They want a Hokage," said Hawk dryly. "Let's go, but first may I ask you your names?" the women asked. Toad really looked at her. No. She had blood-red hair that went to her chest. Her figure was that of a model. She was more tone tough. "Hi, Hokage-sama. I am Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha, and this is my brother Sasuke Uchiha," Naruto said. He couldn't wait to see the women's reaction. "Uzumaki," she repeated. It seemed to be the only word the woman heard. "Naruto-chan. I am so sorry. I have no excuses. Could you tell me about your life, though? I want to know what I missed." The group traveled and Naruto told her his life. 1 week later. Toad and Hawk moved swiftly. They had but 2 days to complete this S-rank mission. The trees moved quickly, becoming green and brown blobs. The tree became rock, they had named it. Apparently Kara was in the Fire Mountains, a mountain range named after the country and the veins of rubies that run through it. The duo entered the cave. They saw a shadow, then a blade. Hawk turned to see it a millimeter away from Toad's neck. Toad poofed, as did Hawk, and Kara found herself surrounded by clones. "Kara Uzumaki," said Toad with some bitterness. "You are hereby summoned by the temporary Hokage and joint council of the Konoha." The boy went on. "What do they want?" asked Kara. "They want a Hokage," said Hawk dryly. "Let's go, but first may I ask you your names?" the women asked. Toad really looked at her. No. She had blood-red hair that went to her chest. Her figure was that of a model. She was more tone tough. "Hi, Hokage-sama. I am Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha, and this is my brother Sasuke Uchiha," Naruto said. He couldn't wait to see the women's reaction. "Uzumaki," she repeated. It seemed to be the only word the woman heard. "Naruto-chan. I am so sorry. I have no excuses. Could you tell me about your life, though? I want to know what I missed." The group traveled and Naruto told her his life. Present. The group now walked. They were close enough to the village and didn't want to rush in. The Uzumaki women had been given a detailed explanation of the two boys' life and was satisfied, though she hoped she would be able to form some sort of a familial bond with him eventually. But she wouldn't push him. She was now in what could be called Hokage mode and was solely focused on the invasion. "Sasuke, could you tell me everything you have heard about the events of the invasion?" the women questioned. She really wanted to know the state of her charge. "Well, there were 3 main fronts or battles during the invasion, the one with Iwa in the walls of the village and the one with Oto in the center of the village. The other main fight was between Naruto, Raikage, and Sarutobi. They battled with the Tsuchikage, Mizukage, and the traitor Orochimaru." The boy finished. Flashback. Walls of Konoha. Sasuke donned his hawk mask and Hinata had been given a mouse mask, just for the invasion. They approached the battlefield. The fight had not yet begun. Jiraiya had decided to switch with Hinata, the designated leader of the forces for the Aburame Inuzuka, and the clan less shinobi each turned. "I am Hawk and this is Mouse. We are the designated leaders of this battlefield. Here is the plan. The Inuzuka clan with 75% of the clan less shinobi will create a battle line. Then 25% of the clan less shinobi will stand 20 yards from that line and stop anyone from crossing." The boy began entering Umbu mode. "Aburame-san, at what percent does your bug remove chakra and how many bugs as a percent of your hive do you need to fight with?" the boy asked. He now saw the Iwa shinobi 200 yards out. The others had set up the line and the fallback line, under Hinata's guidance. We drain chakra at a rate of 1 kilochaks per minute with 1 bugs and need 60% of our bugs to fight well. The Aburaim replied. Average Jounin has like 3000 to 5000 kilochaks, Chunin 750, 1500, Genin 100 to 300, Academy student 75 to 175, Civilian 45 to 75, Kage 20,000 to 30,000, Jinchuriki 25,000-65,000, normally, with Jinchuriki state more like 40,000 to 100,000. Kage Bunshin takes like 350 kilochaks. Okay, then I want you to cover as many people as possible, try to get like 10 bugs at least on a person, but do not use more than 25% of your hive for this. You will be 20 feet from the fallback line and our last defense before the village. Fight well. Hawk and Mouse broke the line and went into the enemy turf, aka the forest of Konoha. Mouse planned Delta A, yelled Hawk. He palmed the groan and summoned a phoenix big enough for him to ride. Hinata summoned 3 shadow clones and got into the Jukin stance. Water style, 32 palm pulse, said Hinata as she held her palms on the tree and focused on the jutsu. If you had a Byakugan, you could see that the trees of Konoha ahead an intertwined system of roots. The jutsu pushed all the water in the trees to right below the surface, making it so the tree could not be burned. Sasuke now rode the phoenix right above the tree line. The IWA soldiers were now in the forest marching toward the battle line. Some wore rock armor, others did not. Fire style, flames of the heaven, was what the IWA shinobi heard, but they heard it not from Sasuke, but from the phoenix. Wind style, flooded current, said Sasuke. All of the wind currents in the forest were suddenly gusting above 30 miles an hour. The flames of the phoenix light the wind and the forest was ablaze without a single tree catching fire. The IWA shinobi who did not have rock armor on died from the heat and the flames that soaked their lungs. The others advanced. The Konoha shinobi could be heard there was a jutsu war going on. IWA shinobi would yell, earth style, rock wall, earth style wall, and there were even some water and fire style jutsu thrown in. The Konoha shinobi responded with the Gutsuga, Suga, fire style, fireball. There was also an assortment of other fire and lightning jutsu. The Genin and Taijutsu specialists were also fighting between the ninjutsu blasts. Flashback. The death of the Tsuchikage. Naruto saw the obliteration of the man he called his grandfather. A shot to the back of someone you weren't finding. Naruto knew that being a ninja did not involve honor, but killing someone with their back turned was something you didn't do in an S-class battle. Most people heard the wrath of the demon. Naruto had gone to cry. He willingly gave power to Kyuubi. He trusted her. This trust unlocked the next stage of the Baijigen, the power to create. His eyes no longer had a complex pattern. His eye, when activated, was now black, not the pupil but the entire eye black. On the inside was an orange pattern of layered diagonal lines overlapping. Kyuubi sensed the change in the boy's eyes, in his power. She knew more about these eyes than perhaps anybody on the planet. Wrath of God no Jutsu, the Kyuubi whispered just as the two combatants began to turn. The malice of her power forcing them to turn. The jutsu was perhaps the most powerful in the universe. The jutsu created antimatter and attached itself to each of the person's cells. It did not kill the person, it made them disappear. The drawback to the jutsu was that it would use nearly all of Naruto's chakra even with her entree-sealed power available to him. The men disappeared and Kyuubi was sent into Naruto's mindscape as his body fell to the floor. The Raikage stared on in shock. This boy, this mere child, had just killed and disarmed Takage and the third greatest traitor who ever lived. The Raikage ran to the boy and got him to the hospital using his speed. He thought to himself, nearly a century passed since the creation of the village and Konoha still makes claim to the strongest shinobi. The first, the second, Madara, the third, the White Fang, the Sannin, Minato, Sharingan no Kakashi, Itachi, and now Naruto, the heir to the Uzumaki and the Namikaze and the son of the Uchiha. His teammates are nothing to joke about either, I hear. Flashback. The interior of the village. Jiraiya had the sound ninjas on the run fairly easily. They had been digging a tunnel. This Konoha had already knew, so all Jiraiya had to do was use two jutsu. Sage style. Oily swamp of the underworld jutsu, said Jiraiya, and the ground of the tunnel into an oily, thick mud. Now is the time for you to run. By the way, Orochimaru is dead, said Jiraiya. He had seen the snake killed by his pupil. About 3/4 of the sound ninja turned around and ran. Jiraiya gave them time to escape and then yelled. Phoenix Fire Jutsu, said Jiraiya. Present. I see, so there wasn't much destruction then, the women said in a half-question, half-statement way. Less the 1000000 Rio in destruction, Kurasama, said Sasuke. The woman simply nodded in response. The group walked on. Kara smiled. She saw sights she hadn't seen in over 10 years. She had been a Chunin when she left. Naruto was 2. She had seen him as a baby. She was but a child when he had been adopted, and she was fine with the Uchiha being his parents as long as she could be his aunt. She had cried when she received the mission. She had no idea how or why she received it. She was told to train, for she would be chosen as the next Hokage. Sarutobi wanted Tsunade, but in my story the council pre-chooses their Hokage and had her trained to take up the mantle when Sarutobi died. She wondered how he was doing. I was always the only one who could get to him. I know he had Naruto, Sasuke, and this Hinata, but he needed adult friends too. I hope he is single though, the redhead thought, blushing. They arrived at the gates of Konoha. Hawk and Toad walking in front, they walked to the guard station. Hello, Toad and Hawk, back with Kara Uzumaki. Srank. The Chunin nodded. Nothing else would or could be told. They were Chunin. There was nothing they would ever learn about the mission. They walked into the Hokage's office and saw Hayashi sitting. The boys took off their mask. Hello, boys, Kurasama, said Hayashi, relieved to see the woman who would be taking all the paperwork away. There is a meeting about to begin. You are right on time. Let us make our way there, said Hayashi. They made their way to the meeting room. They proceeded to take their seats, greeting the people already there. The meeting was soon to commence as everyone was there. I, Hayashi Hyuga, temporary Hokage of Konohagakure, hereby name Kara Uzumaki the Hokage, if she does so swear to serve the office dutifully and honorably. I agree to honorably and dutifully serve as the Hokage, said Kara. The 2 elders proceeded to place the hat and the robes on the 24-year-old Hokage. Hayashi and Kara switched seats. Kara briefly went over the list of topics for today. I see that first on the list is the Chunin graduates. Okay, let us vote for those who deserve promotion. First is Hinata Hyuga. Does anyone wish to present a case as to why she should be made a Chunin? Hokage-sama, may I suggest that, without destroying her masked identity, we show the records of Hinata's Umbu career, said Naruto. He received a nod from both Sasuke and Hayashi. Preposterous, a genin Umbu, replied one of the civilians. Kara wondered why they were there exactly. That would be fine, Naruto, replied the Hokage, smiling at the boy. Naruto then looked over at the Umbu bat. The man quickly shunshined back with the file. The file was passed to the clan heads and certain civilians. Funnily enough, all of the Umbu captain reports were written by Naruto, Sasuke, or Kakashi. Now that we have reviewed the file, let us vote. Before she finished speaking, every hand shot up. Now what about Shikamaru Nara? Asked the new Kage. Well, Nara-san seems to be very strategic, as much of his clan. I believe he would make a good Chunin, said the Yamanaka clan head. Several heads nodded in concurrence. Well, let's vote then, said the Kara. Shikamaru passed, but by a smaller margin. I am dismissing Sasuke and Naruto from consideration and immediately appointing them to elite Jonin status, said Kara. What, that demon can't be a Jonin? Began a councilman. The new Hokage launched a senbon. It went right through his heart and killed him instantly. The counselors looked on in shock. Anybody else? Thought so, the red head stated. Hokage-sama, I am withdrawing my daughter from consideration. She is not mature enough, came the voice of Inoichi Yamanaka. Next on the list is a Kage summit. Why is this scheduled? She asked, genuinely confused. Well, Hokage-sama, this summit is to reaffirm certain treaties and discuss reparations since all 5 nations are involved. You are allowed to bring 2 advisors, 1 bodyguard, said Koharu. We recommend Hayashi Hyuga, Shikaku Nara, and Aburame Shibi, said Hamaru. While I thank you for the recommendations, I will select some from the younger generation as we are in control of the situation. They need the experience, and one of the people I chose may just become the Hokage. I will be taking Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, and let's see, the oldest current clan heir would be Hana Inuzuka, so she'll be going as well. We leave tomorrow at around 6 in the morning, said the young Hokage. The meeting went on for another couple of hours and they ended. Naruto and Sasuke walked with Kara to her office. Hokage-sama, I assume you will be staying on the compound, said Naruto. If you will have me, she replied. Of course, came a shout from the blonde. Also, I'll tell Hana about our mission. I haven't seen her in a while, and she doesn't live at the compound, so I don't get to spend time with her often. By the way, Hana will remain the Inuzuka heir, and all her children will be Inuzuka. Naruto then began walking to the exit of the building. He left Sasuke and his aunt to speak, and fortunately there was an open window he could leave through. Naruto strolled through the village and noticed that there were only a few hateful glares pointed in his direction. He realized that people were smiling at him. They probably heard about me killing the snake. The boy pondered. He made it to the Inuzuka compound and saw Kiba. He went up to him. Hello, Kiba, Akamaru, the boy greeted. Naruto, the boy said grumpily. Akamaru, on the other hand, barked happily. He had heard Kuramaru saying that Naruto was a hero. Look, Kiba, I know me dating your sister is a problem for you, but she is very important to me, and I would kill 1,000 S-class shinobi and give my life before anybody could harm her, said Naruto, unaware that Hana was behind him. The girl walked up behind him and kissed him on the cheek. She smiled. Kiba, we talked about this, said Hana. I know. Fine, but if anything happens or if you hurt her, I will kill you, the boy said. Naruto nodded and then followed Hana to her room. They got there and they both sat on the bed facing each other. The Haimaru were on the floor sleeping. To what do I owe a visit from the Leaf's 3rd greatest hero? Asked Hana playfully as Naruto stroked her hair. What a hero can't visit his princess? Asked Naruto in an equally playful way. Hana leaned forward and gave him a peck on the cheek. Hana and Naruto went on a date during the month and will go on another soon. Well, why are you really here? The girl asked. We have a mission to escort the Hokage, said Naruto. He then created a Kage Bunshin. The clone jumped out the window. He then proceeded to make out with Hana. Naruto's clone. Naruto's clone made it home. He was met at the door by an angry Temari. You disappear for 2 days, you left the hospital without telling us, and then you don't even let us know when you get back in the village. Hinata was almost in tears when you left without telling us, you inconsiderate jerk. She screamed and slapped Naruto. He poofed out of existence. Inside she thought, I can't stay angry at Naruto-kun, he just doesn't realize how much we all care about him, but he is going to pay for this one. Literally, I think Kuratsuchi-chan needs some new Konoha attire. Back with Naruto. Naruto jerked away from Hana's lips abruptly, much to the female teen's displeasure. Naruto frowned as he received the memory. Hinata, cried he, though sadly. I think I'll take all of them to diner as soon as we get back. Hana-chan, the other girls seem slightly upset at my absence. I have to go, and I'll see you tomorrow. Love you, the boy said, kissing her one last time. He then proceeded to jump out of Hana's window. Hana just smiled and shook her head. Naruto first ran to the Yamanaka flower shop. He saw Ino at the register. Hello, Ino-san. I need a mix of 3 dozen flowers that say, I'm sorry and I love you, said Naruto. What did you do, Naruto? Asked Ino. She wondered what could make the boy so afraid of his girlfriends. I left the hospital and went straight on a mission and didn't say goodbye before I left. Naruto said the last part quietly and scratched the back of his head, grinning. You baka, replied Ino at the boy's careless mistake. Ino wondered why boys were well so stupid. Okay, here is my sincere apology kit. Said Ino, it'll be 3750 Rio. The girl said as she smiled at her work, it was the best apology kit. The contents included 3 dozen red and white roses, 3 pints of chocolate brownie ice cream and chocolate strawberries. Thank you, Ino-san, he said as they exchanged. Naruto waved goodbye and made his way home. He opened the door and saw his aunt in the kitchen and his girlfriends that lived with him currently in the house. Temari, Kuratsuchi, and Hinata glared daggers at him. He gulped and got on his knees. I am so sorry. I love all of you. It was a giant mistake, please take the gifts, said Naruto. The girls looked at the boy, then they smiled. None of them could stay mad at the young boy. Naruto-kun, I think I speak for all of when I say we forgive you, but know that you will be taking us out for dinner when you get back, said Hinata as Temari and Kuratsuchi smile in support. Naruto, the girls, and the Hokage all sat down, had dinner, and went to sleep.
Konoha geht's 6 Uhr morgens.
Kara, Sasuke, Naruto and Hana walked out of the gates that protected the village. Kara once again admired the forest and watched the birds fly through the trees. Naruto and Sasuke had their eyes activated and Hana had the Haimaru sniffing around. The trio took the job of protecting their Kage very seriously. Naruto sensed 4 large chakra sources approaching quickly, and he didn't take any chances. Strong arrow to me, he yelled. Kara, as the one being guarded, took the back position. On her left was Sasuke and to the right was Naruto. He had his Baijigen open and anyone that stared into the blackness of his eyes would probably collapse if they were less than a genin. Naruto broke out laughing as he finally realized who the chakra belonged to. The Kage lowered her eyebrow until he saw the Kazekage. Hokage-sama, this is my soon-to-be father-in-law, the Kazekage. This is my best friend Gaara. This is Baki, he is the Sand's lead jounin, and next I believe would be Temari's great-grandmother Chiyo, the Sand Elder, said Naruto as he bowed to the people who would eventually become his family. Thank you for the introduction, Naruto-chan, and it is nice to meet you, Hokage Dano, said the Kazekage, smiling at the Hokage and Naruto. Hello, Naruto, Sasuke, and I am sorry to say I am not familiar with you, Gaara said to Hana. Oh, this is my girlfriend Hana, heir to the Inuzuka, said Naruto. Nice to meet you, Hana-san, said the Kazekage, Gaara, and Chiyo in an almost scary chorus. Well, Kazekage Dano, why do we not make the rest of the journey together? Asked the new Hokage. The Kazekage nodded and the group made their way.